up in hospitals, but they warn the NHS will still need increased funding from the government. The councillors at the heart of the Milton Keynes taxi scandal faced fresh calls to resign last night. At a packed council meeting, members of the public gallery called on Shaban Shafiq, Stuart Burke and Gladstone Mackenzie to quit. Leader of the council, Peter Marland, said the council itself has no power to make them resign.
I've said the same thing all along. They have to look at their own consciences. As far as I'm aware, only one of those councillors has offered a full apology. It's not within the council's gift to make them resign. They just have to think about what they've done.
A notorious police killer is to be released from prison after serving more than 45 years behind bars. Harry Roberts, who's 78, shot dead 2 officers in West London in 1966 and was complicit in the murder of a third. Canada's Prime Minister Stephen Harper says an attack on the Parliament building in Ottawa will strengthen the country's resolve to fight terrorists. A gunman said to be a Muslim convert fatally wounded a soldier before being shot by security staff. A woman from Hertfordshire who's dying from cancer could have been saved, according to a scathing report published today. The Health Service Ombudsman says West Hertfordshire NHS Trust failed to detect and treat the disease. More from Lee Agnew.
The 41-year-old was referred to a breast clinic in May 2010, but the correct tests weren't carried out to rule out cancer. The single mother has since been told that she has terminal breast cancer, which has spread to the liver, brain and bone. The Ombudsman says that had she been treated early enough, her life would probably have been saved. It says the trust, which has already paid the woman compensation, should make a sincere apology and ensure that it can't happen again.
In sport, Liverpool lost 3-0 at home to Real Madrid in the Champions League last night, but Arsenal scored twice in the closing minutes to win 2-1 away to Anderlecht. The weather slightly warmer but cloudier than yesterday, with patchy light rain possible at times, a maximum temperature 16 degrees Celsius, and you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/Three Counties.
Let's be having you!
Today on BBC Three Counties Radio.
From 9.
The JVS Show.
With the big phone-in, the hottest topic of the day, and your consumer problems. From 12.
Nick Coffer.
With brilliant physiotherapist Richard Evans here to ease your aches, strains and pains.
From 3.
Roberto Peroni.
I'm here with a roundup of the day's news, the latest travel and your stories.
From 7.
Mark Forrest.
I'll bring you the best bits from everything that's been happening on BBC Local Radio.
Today on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Will you, Mark? You're going to bring this bit? Because this is the best bit that's happening on BBC Local Radio right now, suckers. This is what's happening on BBC Radio Norfolk. You ready?
A little light rain or drizzle possible at times.
Yeah. You want that?
The limited
Do you want that?
sunny spells.
If you want that,
but the
go online.
Up to 16 Celsius.
If you want it, go and chase. Go and chase it. Oh, he's gone. This is what you're getting, suckers. You're stuck with it. Lots coming up on the show this morning, including Kelly Betts.
Hello.
Catherine Boyle.
What's up?
Craig Lewis. He's upstairs. And Dirty Pillows. Oh. Dodgy decisions. And hooray, hooray for Bedfordshire Day. It's never going to happen, but we'll discuss it anyway. Who writes this rubbish, Kath?
Me.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Someone actually sits down and writes it, and you've heard her voice, you know her name, it's Catherine Boyle.
Came out of my brain.
Yes, didn't it just? Down your trouser leg and out through your foot.
Yeah, which I type with.
Some people do, don't they?
Yeah.
I never got those people that could paint with their feet. I never get people that can paint with their hands or their mouth. I can't paint. And yet some people could do it with various parts of their body that weren't designed for painting. Isn't that brilliant?
Yeah.
08459 455 555. What have you ever painted? That's a good phone in.
I'm a good painter.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Excellent painter.
Do my Mick Jagger. Oh, yeah, Mick Jagger.
But he paints.
I can do
Janet Street Porter.
I can do all the rock stars. Name a rock star that's either David Bowie or Mick Jagger or Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan and I'm doing a painting.
Neil Diamond.
That wasn't on the list.
Man, I'm so tired.
No, come on, guys. Leave Diamond out of this. You know I got beef with Diamond. He doesn't like disabled people. What's that all about? David Bowie. I'm David Bowie and I'm doing a painting on the internet using a touch-screen computer.
So hang on, do Bob Dylan again?
Yeah, I'm Bob. I can't do Bob. I can't do them like
That was a proud boast, wasn't it?
So all you can really do is a bit of David Bowie who sounds
my name
like
is
Bob
my
Dylan.
name is Donovan, and I am painting a picture of Atlantis.
You plum.
Who was the other one I just said I could do? I'm having fun with
Mick
me.
Jagger.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Mick Jagger. I've got to do the hands. Oh, Mick Jagger, I'm painting a picture with my bum. I could do all the rock stars, guys. If you want to phone up and have a rock star impression off, 08459 455 555. I'm in that kind of mood today. Seriously, let's go back to Radio Norfolk. Oh.
Fair play, that's good.
Now that I've found you, I can let you... Yes, I can. I got sent a record today.
What for?
Well, because I bought it on eBay.
All right, they didn't send it then.
Well, they sent it. They had to send it. I paid postage.
Right.
It's the Monkees, Barrel Full of Monkees. This is quite a rare record because there aren't many of it. And it was the last record released on Cole Jones Records.
Right.
And I thought we'd play a song from that.
Go on.
I'm going to.
Do it then.
I'm just doing it.
It's a big one, so it'd have to be a long play.
There we go. Oh. Oh.
Is that nice? I'm not playing this one now.
I like that one.
Let's hope it's not really badly
I really
scratched.
like that one, though.
You know my girl now.
Yes.
Let's have this one. Yeah, why not?
You know my girl just called me up, and she woke me from my sleep. I heard the things she said. You know she hurt my feelings deep. I'm gonna buy me a dog.
A dog?
A dog.
Why?
'Cause I need a friend now.
Babe, you need all the friends you can get, I'm telling you.
I'm gonna buy me a dog. My girl, no love, no how. Don't ruin my song. It's the only song I have.
ruined, so it was wrong.
Where's the verse? She used to bring me my newspaper.
You don't even know where it's at.
She knew where it was at. She used to keep me so contented. But I can teach a dog to do that. I'm gonna buy me a dog.
You couldn't teach a dog to do that, you can only train elephants.
'Cause I need a friend now.
I need a friend now.
Now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy me a dog.
A dog, here over Fido Spot.
My girl, no love, no how. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hike! Hike!
I was late on that one. I just got back from Africa, you know. I was playing cards with the natives.
Oh, Zulus?
No, I usually won.
I wish I had a glass of water.
Why, you thirsty?
No, I want to see if my neck leaks. I'd buy a raccoon, but John already has one.
35 bucks.
You ready? I'm gonna buy me a dog.
Dog.
A dog?
Yeah.
'Cause I need a friend now.
Yeah, yeah.
Boop, boop, shabop, bop, ram-a-lam. I'm gonna buy me a dog. What, my girl don't let me know how. How?
Now,
brown cow. I think I'm gonna buy me a dog, yes sir. I'm gonna buy me a dog. If I was looking for a word to describe what I'm gonna buy, I think dog would be the word. It would be dog. That would come springing from my lips. Dog.
Morning! That's annoyed everybody, hasn't it? Apart from Kelly Betts, we were digging the Monkees. I'm going to buy me a dog, weren't we?
Digging it.
Digging it. Guys, listen, just a word of warning, please, if you're a band in the 60s, I'm urging you, please, do not take drugs. It will only end in that kind of nonsense. Oh, no, hang on, no, you can stop that now. We finished. Thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555. Now, on to... Graham's in Aylesbury. Morning, Graham.
Morning, Ian.
What you got for us, boss?
Just a reminder, if you're doing that Vinyl Friday tomorrow.
We're doing Vinyl Friday tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll go and raid my dad's records.
We're going to bring... Kelly, bring in a record.
Okay.
I'm going to bring in some records. Kathy, going to bring the records?
Yeah, I'll bring some records in.
What? We're going to... Any requests, Graham?
No. Oh, anything, as long as it's not scratched. Make sure they're not scratched.
We'll make sure... Trashed or scratched?
Scratched.
Scratched?
Yeah.
OK, we'll make sure they're not scratched, huh?
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The family of an elderly stroke patient are furious at the filthy conditions he endured at Watford General Hospital. Lara Weatherly raised the alarm after visiting her 76-year-old father in the acute assessment unit. He was sitting on a pressure cushion covered with someone else's faeces and urine. Horrible picture, isn't it? Well, Catherine Boyle has been looking into this one and joins me in the studio. Catherine, what more do we know about this?
Well, Eric Weatherly had suffered a double stroke and then contracted a serious urine and lung infection, which is why he was admitted to the isolation room in the acute admissions unit on October the 4th. A week later, on the 11th of October, his daughter Lara came to visit just as the nurses were putting Eric to bed, and that's when she noticed that the pressure cushion he'd been sitting on was dirty, and that is an understatement. It was covered in another patient's dried faeces and urine, as you mentioned, and Lara believes the staff must have known about it as it had been covered with a sheet.
Without sort of looking straight away, it was immediately trying to cover things up. We then found out that this cushion had been in there for a whole week. Equipment is meant to be decontaminated and cleaned, even if it was my father's, which it wasn't. That shouldn't have been missed. And out of all the staff and the nurses coming in and out, that should be cleaned each day thoroughly.
I'm shocked, as someone who has family who goes in and out of hospital quite regularly, this is just beyond the pale. Lara has told us about other incidents, hasn't she, where the nurses showed a complete lack of compassion.
And this is what she's saying. You'll be talking to her later on in the programme, but she told us that one night her father complained to one of the nurses that he was cold and asked for a blanket, and the nurse apparently said to him, "Can't you get your wife to bring one in?" On another occasion, he soiled himself, but the night staff, she says, could not be bothered to clean him properly, and they said that the morning staff would take care of it.
Do you know what's sad? I can believe that. I can believe that quite easily. Something else happened as well to Eric when he was discharged from hospital.
Well, Lara says that her mother had a phone call from the hospital saying that Eric was being discharged on the 17th of October. Her father said that a doctor wanted to do an X-ray on him to make sure a blockage in his bowel was clear before leaving the hospital. And when her mum mentioned this to the nurse on the phone, the nurse knew nothing about it and said she'd follow up and call back. Shortly before he was due to come home, Lara's father soiled himself, and again she says he wasn't cleaned properly. Lara says staff at the hospital had stripped him of his dignity.
When someone goes into hospital, and I mean, whether they've had a stroke or not, it's not a very nice experience, and you should be made as comfortable as possible. You should be treated as kindly as possible. It really isn't happening, and when you come in and you've seen your father crying, and he's always got something's happened, they've said this to me and they've not cleaned me up. You just wouldn't even treat an animal like that. It's just awful.
Now, this is a hospital where you would expect it to be clean. Problem is, Watford General Hospital has had problems with cleanliness before, hasn't it?
Yeah, and they've been highlighted with concerns from the Care Quality Commission in a report recently. On the visit in December, inspectors found bloodstains on the floor in one area that had not been cleaned. The report by the Care Quality Commission also highlighted concerns over staffing, infection control, record keeping and risk management. In a statement, the CQC says the information relating to this family is therefore concerning and no patient should have to experience what is reported to have happened to this gentleman. They've also warned of further inspections to make sure that standards have improved.
I'm looking forward to speaking to the hospital later on in the show. What time are they coming on?
We won't be speaking to the hospital.
Excuse
we did
me?
approach them, but they are not available. We tried to get Samantha Jones, the Chief Executive of the NHS Trust, which is in charge of Watford General. But she says she's personally been to see Mr Weatherly. She's apologised to him and his family for the unacceptable condition of the cushion at his bedside. And in a statement she says that when this was brought to the attention of the nursing staff, it was immediately removed.
Oh, that's all right then. He's sitting on a cushion that's covered in other people's poo and it gets removed when it's pointed out. Oh, that's all right then. Nice one, Ms Jones.
Samantha Jones also says disciplinary action could be taken.
Could be.
And a new regime of unannounced spot checks has just been put in place.
You shouldn't need unannounced spot checks. That's ridiculous. You shouldn't need them. It's a hospital. There's poo there. There's blood there. We should clean it immediately. Oh, I'm angry now.
We're also told that discussions with the company which manages the hospital's cleaning contract are taking place so that the highest possible standards of hygiene and cleanliness are constantly met.
Stuff like this gets me angry because my mum does go in and out of hospital, and she has been a lot recently. And my little boy's been in hospital. We all go in and out of hospital, or we know someone that has. This is a basic. Do we know? How was it 150 years ago that someone first said, hey, maybe you should clean your hands before you do operations? It's a basic not to have poo and blood all over the place. Thank you, Catherine. Sorry, I'm angry about this. Miss Jones, I suggest if you want to give us a call this morning, you'd be more than welcome. 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Starting off this morning on the trains, and possible delays at the moment of about 15 minutes on London Midland between Milton Keynes Central and Watford Junction. Also affecting Virgin trains as well. This is all due to a signalling problem. So far, taking a look in Milton Keynes, do expect delays on Standing Way at Newport Road due to roadworks taking place. And so far, the M25's moving well, as is the A1M. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Are you sure that's you, Nicola?
Yeah.
What year were you born?
That's a private question.
Yeah, because to my ears, you don't sound like Nicola Richards. You don't sound like the Nicola Richards we've learnt to love and not love and appreciate, that we've learnt to tolerate. You just
how lovely of you. Thank you.
Just say there's been there's roadworks on the M1 at Junction 11.
Roadworks on the M1 just at Junction 11.
I'm not convinced. Kelsey, does that sound like Nicola Richards to you?
No, it doesn't. Actually.
It doesn't, does it? Because when she came on, I thought, who's this new girl?
Who's this new girl? What should we call her?
Well, the faker Richards. Faker. No. What would you call a fake Nicola Richards?
Billy Wobbles.
6:17. It's Thursday, the 23rd of October. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The daughter of a stroke patient has criticised Watford General Hospital after finding a cushion that her father had been sitting on covered in another patient's urine and faeces. The councillors at the heart of the Milton Keynes taxi scandal faced fresh calls to resign last night. At a packed council meeting, members of the public booed former Mayor Subhan Shafiq as he made a rare public appearance. And a woman from Hertfordshire who's dying from cancer could have been saved. That's according to a scathing report published today. 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Every weekday from 3.
Good afternoon, welcome to the show.
Local people.
What's your story?
Seems there's a law for them and then there's one for the press, and I disagree with what they're saying.
Local views.
In some cases, sort of 40% loss in value on their properties.
Has Kenny Luton got it right?
There is a responsibility when you're paid from the public purse.
Local life.
Do you want to know how much my carer's allowance goes up by every April when the tax year changes? £2.
Roberto Peroni.
And is it fair to target people on benefits?
Weekdays from 3. BBC Three Counties Radio.
I'm painting, my name's David Bowie, and I'm painting a picture using a touchscreen computer tablet.
Oh, yeah.
I've got very good Wi-Fi connection in my house. Thank you, Iman.
Still don't know what I was waiting for, and my time was running wild, a million dead-end streets, and every time I thought I got it made, it seemed the taste was not so sweet. So I turned myself to face me, but I've never caught a glimpse how the others must see the faker. I'm much too fast to take that test. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Don't wanna be a richer man. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. There's gonna have to be a different man. Time may change me, but I can't trace time. Watch the ripples change the size, but never leave the stream of warm and permanent sand. So the days float through my eyes, but still the days seem the same. And these children that you spit on as they try to change their worlds are immune to your consultations. They're quite aware of what they're going through. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Don't tell them to grow up out of it. Changes. said that time may change me, but I can't trace time.
It's David Bowie, isn't it? If you want to phone up and do an impression of David Bowie, Bob Dylan, or indeed Mick Jagger, you're more than welcome to. 08459 455 555. Let's see how many David Bowies we can get on the air between now and 9 o'clock. See if we can get a dozen David Bowies on. I think, Catherine, I need to check my Guinness Book of World Records. I've lost Norris McWhirter's phone number. Can't call Roy Castle anymore, unfortunately. I think that the maximum that have ever been on one radio show, David Bowie's, is 4. So if we can beat 4 world record.
Wow, what challenge.
Fingers crossed, guys, fingers crossed. Now, taxi licensing in Milton Keynes. This story just keeps on going, and more and more comes out. At a council meeting last night, residents, private hire drivers and politicians packed the public gallery, calling on councillors at the heart of the scandal that saw a rapist granted a taxi licence to resign. Well, our Milton Keynes reporter Craig Lewis attended the meeting, joins me now. Craig, what happened last night?
Well, Ian, it was something of a pantomime last night, complete with pantomime villain Saban Shafiq, who was booed by a packed public gallery as he entered.
He turned up, did he? Because he's been quite the rare appearances of him.
Yeah, he's become a bit of a mystery man since he resigned. But he was there last night. He said one word during the entire meeting. Yeah. That was abstain, okay, which I'll explain a bit more about later. But yeah, as he entered the meeting, he was booed by a public gallery, really, that had a culmination of a couple of months of anger behind it, private hire drivers and residents there. And it stems from the revelation that Nadeem Ahmed Kiani had been driving in the city despite having 4 convictions for sexual assault, including rape. In August, 2 councillors, Stuart Burke and Gladstone Mackenzie, resigned from the council's licensing committee over their part in the scandal. And Saban Shafiq, as we mentioned, he was forced to quit as mayor of Milton Keynes after it was revealed he'd personally vouched for Nadeem Kiani. That decision has been further brought into question by a document from 2011. Saban Shafiq in that says he'd known Nadeem Kiani since childhood, yet when he resigned he said he'd only known him for a few years. And throughout a noisy meeting last night, there were repeated calls for all 3 men to resign, and petitions were presented from the Young Greens of Milton Keynes and from UKIP calling for them to go.
I'm guessing they didn't.
No, they didn't. Stuart Burke told the council he had no intention of quitting. He also spoke on behalf of Saban Shafiq to say that Saban Shafiq would be staying as well. And leader of the Labour Party, Peter Marland, said Gladstone Mackenzie had apologised, wouldn't be going, and that any decisions on any of the resignations should wait for the result of a council investigation, which is now not due until the end of November.
Okay.
And after the meeting, I asked Councillor Marland about the whole affair.
I said tonight, rape is rape. There is no sort of mitigation of why or understanding of why you would put anybody in a position of trust as a taxi driver is. We have to go beyond that now. We have to think beyond that and make sure people are safe. But, you know, it's hard. It's hard to have something like that in your head for 2 months. I know what that man did. I know that lots of people have seen the facts of what that man did. They're disgusting. And there's a victim out there, I think, at the end of the day. And every time I think about this, I think about the victim. I don't think about what I did or what the council did. I think there's a victim there, and I want to make sure there are no more victims.
Well, it says there's a victim. There's several victims.
Yeah, that's right. It was prostitutes in London that Nadeem Kiani was targeting with an accomplice. He raped them in pretty much the most horrific way, assaulted them as well. So, yeah, certainly more than one victim.
We've not heard from Saban Shafiq. Again, always welcome on this show. Councillor Stuart Burke hasn't spoken about this public decision. Did he speak about it last night?
He did. He was thrown into the middle of the storm somewhat last night by his leader, Douglas McCall, who is ill at the moment, so couldn't attend the meeting. Stuart Burke is the deputy leader of the Liberal Democrats, so suddenly he was there having to answer questions from an angry public calling for his resignation. During the meeting he said he wouldn't be stepping down, and even actually he went as far as to say that he wasn't sure he wouldn't make the same decision again, which didn't go down particularly well in the public gallery. Afterwards I asked him why he had lifted a suspension on Nadeem Kiani's licence in 2012.
It's a difficult question to answer because people say, well, you gave a licence to a rapist. And I said, well, there isn't an answer to that question. I did. That's what we did. I wasn't alone in that. There were other members of the committee who did it twice. and we did it because we looked at all the evidence and that was the decision we came to. I mean, other people go, I don't understand how you do that, but that's what we did.
Gosh, I'm actually speechless by his attitude there. That seems incredible. What was the reaction from the gallery?
Well, I think they were quite similar to yourself, except they certainly weren't speechless. There was more calls for him to resign. They were very unhappy with pretty much everything he says. He was labelled arrogant by the gallery. The new mayor, Derek Eastman, had to repeatedly ask for people to be quiet and to calm down. And there were continued questions over whether Subhan Shafiq and Stuart Burke had even said they were sorry about their part in the affair. So I asked Stuart Burke about that, and this is what he had to say.
Sorry every day, because it's brought all this down on everybody. I'm sorry for myself, I'm sorry for Subhan, I'm sorry for Gladstone, I'm sorry for all the other councillors involved who've had their reputations besmirched. I'm sorry for the taxi driver, because, he's won what he thought was reasonable, and he's now, become a public figure not wanting to be. And, there are loads of people who I'm incredibly sorry for, because it's been very difficult to do.
Right, Stuart Burke's getting on my nerves. Very quickly, because we're running out of time. I know we've got a little bit more to hear. He's sorry for the taxi driver who didn't want to be a public figure. Well, here's a suggestion. If you don't want to be a public figure, don't go around raping people. And there's another... He said sorry to Subhan, sorry for what's happened to him, sorry for all the councillors, and sorry to the women whose lives are put at risk. I didn't hear that mentioned, Mr. Burke. Didn't hear that mentioned. What else happened? Go on, sorry. Questions from the public gallery.
There were also questions that they weren't the only thing that Stuart Burke had to deal with. If you remember, we had these calls before because Subhan Shafiq was made a member of the Health Select Committee despite his resignation, despite his involvement in this. Alice Bramwell promoted a motion at that last meeting saying basically that Subhan Shafiq was unfit and calling for Douglas McCall to change that decision. Well, that motion went to full council last night and it was actually passed by 39 votes in favour and 13, all the Liberal Democrats, not against, but abstaining from the vote. And that's where Subhan Shafiq said his one word last night, abstain. It means Douglas McCall will now be asked to reconsider Subhan Shafiq's position on the Health Committee, but considering a statement from his party said it would be totally inappropriate to take any action until the outcome of an internal audit investigation that I mentioned earlier, it seems unlikely he's going to change that decision at all.
You spoke to a couple of private hire drivers. Should we have a quick listen to what they had to say?
There are hundreds of decent taxi drivers out there who are feeling outraged right now because of this situation. And the only way to restore confidence in the public is for them to resign.
Aside from the resignations, do you feel that the council has done enough in other terms to make sure that it's safe to get in taxis in Milton Keynes?
Not at all.
Shafiq, so he's standing next to a man he says is his childhood friend. Next minute he says he didn't know him from Adam. This man had an 8-year prison sentence, did 4 for rape with assault in the back of a taxi. He stands there giving him a glowing reference. I thought it was a total sham.
Craig, excellent stuff. Thank you very much for that. Those council meetings sound like they're fun. Are they always as exciting as that?
Not normally quite that busy all the time. This was pretty exceptional, but there's normally a bit of backbiting and fun to keep you interested.
Give me a nod next time you go, and maybe we can go and get a few beers before, and I don't know. Anyway, you heard Councillor Stuart Burke there. He was sorry for what had been brought on him, sorry for what had been brought on Subhan Shafiq, sorry for the convicted violent rapist. Didn't hear him say sorry to the women whose lives have potentially been put at risk. Your thoughts on that, please? 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Starting off on the M25, heading anti-clockwise, there's been a building fire just between junction 21 for the M1 and junction 20 at Kings Langley. Already looking rather heavy on the North Orbital Road, just at junction 21A for the M25. So far, taking a look at the trains and seeing delays of up to about 15 minutes on London Midland between Milton Keynes Central and Watford Junction, also affecting Virgin trains. This is all due to a signalling problem.
Right, OK.
Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Oh, it's Nicola Richards.
Yeah.
Is it Nick Nola Richards? No, Nickers. No.
Oh,
is it? You're not Nicola Richards, and I claim my £5.
A across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6:30. I'm Simon Oxley. The daughter of a stroke patient has criticised Watford General Hospital after finding a cushion that her father had been sitting on covered in another patient's urine and faeces. Hospital Trust Chief Executive Samantha Jones has apologised personally to the family and says unannounced spot checks have started on all wards. The councillors at the heart of the Milton Keynes taxi scandal faced fresh calls to resign last night. At a packed council meeting, members of the public booed former Mayor Subhan Shafiq. And a woman from Hertfordshire who's dying from cancer could have been saved, according to a scathing report published today. The Health Service Ombudsman says West Hertfordshire NHS Trust failed to detect and treat the disease.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Mixed fortunes for Liverpool and Arsenal in the Champions League last night. Liverpool lost 3-0 at home to Real Madrid with Cristiano Ronaldo and Karim Benzema with 2 scoring before half-time, to the disappointment of Liverpool boss Brendan Rodgers.
We conceded poor goals against the top side, but then second half we technically were much better, kept possession of the ball better, and were a threat. So overall, I thought it was a bit harsh for us to be 3-0 down at half-time, but as you see, their quality and speed and, the level of their game is at a high level. But obviously it's disappointing when you're 3-0 at half-time.
But Arsenal scored twice in the closing minutes through Kieran Gibbs and Lucas Podolski to win 2-1 away to Anderlecht. Here's Arsene Wenger.
I know by experience that the last 5 minutes in the Champions League, the nerves play a part. We had to get into these 5 minutes without conceding a second goal. Of course, if I had scored the second goal, it was game over. I had hope. It didn't look like, but it happened. And that means we took all the risks, and in the end it paid off.
A Luton side featuring a number of players returning from injury beat Hemel Hempstead 3-0 in a friendly at the Hatters training ground yesterday afternoon. Curtly Williams, Fraser Franks, Paul Connolly, Luke Rooney and Jake Howells all played. Wycombe have been fined £1,000 after admitting an FA charge of failing to ensure players conducted themselves in an orderly fashion. It happened in the closing stages of this month's game against Northampton, who were also fined. And in cycling, 2013 champion Chris Froome says he may skip next year's Tour de France because the course doesn't suit him. BBC Three Counties News and Sports. The next full bulletin is at 7.
If you hear a whisper, give us a shout.
Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Finally, what's wrong?
These headphones are on a very short leash.
Try the other ones. The other ones should work. You just can't move because they will be intermittent.
No.
Science, stop. Laboratories, close and lock your doors, burn your equipment. Doctors, scientists and researchers, go home. Your work here is done. They've invented omelette on a stick. And this looks genuinely looks brilliant. Vertical grill turns out the perfect breakfast on the go. It's called a rollie, different from the rollies I used to have at college. These ones, well, this one is still quite magic. An omelette on a stick might not appear the most appetising way to start the day. Well, Sean Poulter, Consumers Affairs editor from The Mail, you're wrong. I can't think of a better way to start the day.
Delicious.
However, the import from the US is being presented as the ideal breakfast on the go. It's one of the foods that can be created using the Rollie vertical grill from the US. Essentially, the rollie is a heated tube with a non-stick coating on the inside. I'm doing this because I'm hoping that Rollie will send us one free.
No, not allowed to do that on the BBC.
No.
That would be awful. Could you send it straight back?
It would be awful, but if you were to send it to me, I would certainly continue saying excellent things about your fine company on this radio station.
You wouldn't. This is a joke.
The user... Listen to this, right? This is flipping brilliant, right? The user simply cracks 2 eggs, pours in the mixture, and then partway through the heating procedure adds a stick down the middle as it begins to solidify. That's my kind of cooking.
I don't eat enough stick-based food.
The cylindrical omelette pops up when it's cooked.
Oh, yeah.
In what the manager boasts is an easy... the manufacturer boasts is an easy-to-eat shape. This...
Easy to eat. Because, they're tricky otherwise, aren't they?
The company claims it takes 5 to 6 minutes to cook. However, and this is where we get to the heart of the story, the company claims it takes 5 to 6 minutes to cook. However, video bloggers who've actually tried it suggest it may take 6 to 8 minutes.
Oh.
Here we go. It looks brilliant. It only costs 30 quid. 30 quid! This sounds awesome. Kels, do you want to have a vertical omelette?
Yes, I'd love one, but where do you get all the sticks from?
Stick shop.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Stickland.
Where's the nearest Stickland?
Stickorama.
Well, you've got all your dead stick insects. We could use some of those. Couldn't we? You've been murdering them.
No, they're babies.
Well, you have tiny omelettes. Add a bit of crunch.
No.
Yeah?
I've buried
Taste
them.
test. I tell you what, we'll do a taste test on the show tomorrow. We'll bring in food and we'll
Seriously,
taste
about
it.
these sticks, though.
Yes, sir.
Where are you going to get them from?
Oh.
Cook shops.
She don't know nothing. There's loads of shops you can get sticks. You can go to the woods and get some sticks. You know, collected sticks. My boys have got loads of sticks. I'll bring you sticks.
Have you never had a cake pop?
Yeah.
Cake pop.
Okay, I can make cake pops.
Delicious.
Yeah, well, I can make vertical sticks.
Whoa.
No, hang on. What are these called?
Omelette
Omelettes.
pops.
Omelette what?
Pops.
Pops. I'm going to make some pops. Pops. They should use, right... They should use Pop, no, Umbop by Handsome.
Yeah.
And call it Pop.
Yeah.
Pop, to be about Pop. Queue up Pop for have the Pop before 7 o'clock, please. Okay. Oh, this is great. Yeah, what's wrong, Kath? You don't want any Pops?
I don't want a free one. If I was going to get one, and I won't reveal that because that would maybe advertise it to other people, then I would buy one secretly.
You really do abide by the rules of the BBC and Ofcom, don't you?
Yes, because I'm staff. Anyway, struck off. Doctor who went sick from hospital for... Guess what?
I've just been sent a very rude message by Scott. I can't read that out. He's talking about vertical things he's got that you can eat.
Yes.
Right, go on. What's his doctor done?
He has wagged it from work. But stupidly, he wagged it to go on telly.
What a plum!
A doctor's been struck off for moonlighting as a television pundit.
He was on moonlighting? Remember that programme?
Yeah.
It was rubbish, wasn't it?
Vaguely remember it. I was very, very tiny. You probably remember it really clearly.
Yeah.
A doctor's been struck off for moonlighting as a television pundit on global assignments while claiming sick pay. Oh, cheeky. Ed Holloway was attracted to the glamour of prestigious events in the equestrian calendar rather than routine hospital shifts. Oh, my gosh. The dashing medic... Hang on, we'll be the judge of that.
He's quite good looking.
Well,
I bet he's a smooth operator.
He looks posh, let's leave it at that.
Posh operator.
He would become ill at weekends so he could fly off to show jumping and eventing competition.
Oh, mate.
He once sported a tan on his return to work despite bad weather in Britain and was only found out when he was rumbled by a colleague.
Ladies and gentlemen, the phone in today, when have you been caught bunking off? 08459. It always delivers gold, that one. When have you been caught bunking off? 08459 455 555. I never forget the story of someone who had they bunked off school to go and see a football match, but then they'd been seen on, like, Match of the Day. There'd been a big close-up of them.
There's Gareth who works here who went
Gary Floyd?
Yeah. He went to a horse race.
What?
And he bunked off. It's work.
Yeah.
But he worked at, like, Comet or somewhere that had a bank of televisions.
Oh.
And then there's him and his brother celebrating a win at the King's whatever it was race that he went to. And it was on all the tellies in the shop. His boss saw it.
08459 455 555. When have you ever been caught bunking off?
This guy, he admitted he'd been in America after a fellow medic recognised his voice on Sky's Horse and Country channels. Flippin' heck.
There's so many good things in the paper. I didn't know. Hey, Kelly, guess how many books Katie Price has written?
7.
Nope.
Higher or lower?
One of those. Don't give her the finger.
One of those.
Higher.
Higher.
14.
Higher.
21.
Higher.
32.
Higher.
No. She hasn't read that many.
She's not read that many. She's writing, or just written, her 42nd book. Katie Price, I've tried writing books before. I cannot do it. She's written 42 books.
Magazine articles that you've been in don't count.
No, she's written books.
She writes kids' books.
Does she really?
Being Jordan, number 1, Being Jordan, my autobiography.
That's a kid's book.
Number 2, A Whole New World, Boy Meets Girl in the Jungle. They release a single and star in a... Angel, Katie Price's Perfect Ponies.
That's definitely...
That's a photo book. I'm looking at her Perfect Ponies now. Then the next book, number 5, Perfect Ponies, Little Treasures. Number 6, Perfect Ponies, Fancy Dress Ponies. Well, she's got fancy dress there. Lots of perfect ponies. We go to number 11, Crystal. Number 12, Push to the Limit. Katie gives birth to third child, Princess Tiami. 13, Angel Uncovered. 14, goes back to the Perfect Ponies then.
Always back to the Perfect Pony.
Number 39, listen to this book, In the Name of Love. This is a strange... I don't know this activity.
We need to start reading this.
Spunky sports presenter, Charlie, has a holiday romance with Felipe Castillo, who she discovers is related to the Spanish royal family. Will he come back to win her heart? Yes. Yes, he will. That's the summary. That's the summary. Hey, listen, do you know what I fancy right now? Fancy an on-pop.
Giza?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Starting off on the M25, heading anti-clockwise, very slow at the moment on the sensors between junction 21 for the M1 and junction 20 at Kings Langley. Also rather heavy anti-clockwise between 17 at Maple Cross and 16 for the M40. Take a look at the trains, seeing delays of up to about 15 minutes at the moment on both London Midland and Virgin trains between Milton Keynes Central and Watford Junction. It's all due to a signalling problem. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yeah, if you say so. Fakeola Richards, more like.
Nicholish.
Sorry, your microphone was off.
Nicholish.
No, I'm saying sorry, your microphone's off, don't talk, this is my bit.
Nicholish Richards.
I hate licorice.
I love it.
I really, I can't stand it. Nicholish, I can't, no, licorice. aniseed, marzipan, and almonds. I can't stand any of those things.
I'll hoover them for you.
Thank you very much indeed. 6:46, it's Thursday, it's the 23rd of October. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The daughter of a stroke patient has criticised Watford General Hospital after finding a cushion that her father had been sitting on covered in another patient's urine and faeces. The councillors at the heart of the Milton Keynes taxi scandal faced fresh calls to resign last night. At a packed council meeting, members of the public booed former Mayor Subhan Shafiq. And a woman from Hertfordshire who's dying from cancer could have been saved. That's according to a scathing report published yesterday. Coming up, I'll tell you what, we'll have a quick word with Dealey. We'll talk more through the papers. But before that, let's get the weather, shall we?
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
You're not going to introduce me?
Well, no, because I don't normally introduce the weather. All right, it's...
I want it in a really good...
All right, OK, hang on a second. We're going to do it properly, then. If we're going to do it properly, we're going to do it properly. That's my motto in life.
Since when?
Sorry, your microphone's off, Cathy.
Since when?
No, I'm sorry, your microphone's off.
Since when has that been your motto?
It's always been my motto.
Has it?
Ever since I was asked to give a talk at...
It's rather cloudy.
No!
And a few spots of rain.
Shh, go.
Oh, no, hang on, that's the wrong bum. There we go.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, if we can just hold on to your tickets, the Western Express is pulling out. Let's get the latest weather report with Steve Weston.
Yes, thank you, Iain. It's rather cloudy and mild with a few spots of rain this evening and tonight. It'll be a milder night.
Yeah, I know,
than
it's
last
October.
night.
It's October, it'll be cold and wet.
What did I just say?
It'll be raining.
No, what did I just say when you spoke over me?
It'll be a milder night tonight than it was last night. Still be cold, though.
Yeah, that's right. Generally cloudy conditions. The cloud may become thick enough to give the odds
you're thick enough
of rain in places.
Give you a spot of rain in a minute.
Hill fog is likely to affect higher ground, such as the Shelters. Would you like to know the minimum temperature?
No.
Then that's the end of your weather.
Every Saturday from 12.
Great songs you haven't heard for years.
Justin Dealey.
This still sounds incredible. Jay has texted me. This one's for you. Coming up today, we go back to the 70s for our golden oldie rundown. Let's get that jukebox open.
2 hours of great music and great memories.
She says, this reminds me of when I used to go to the Unicorn pub in Leighton Buzzard. We are playing the UK charts from this day back in 1970. Martin in Woburn Sands has texted me. It was first recorded by Richard Chamberlain in 63.
Justin Dealey.
Spread the word. 2 hours of great songs and great memories.
Every Saturday from 12 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Giza.
You say I'm crazy.
Sam Smith there, from the Sam Smith organisation. And their new single, Sam Smith.
Sings.
What am I... Dealey?
Yeah.
You love music.
I love music.
Do you like Sam Smith?
Yeah, nice vibe, actually. Quite a nice song.
It's a nice chill. I can imagine putting that on 11:30. You got back from the boozer. You pull yourself a shot of whiskey, and you sit down and cry because you've got nothing in your life and everything is falling around your ears and your marriage has failed.
You miss one key thing there. If you're going to come back from the boozer at the weekend, match of the day first.
Good lad. Well done. Yes. Thank you very much indeed. What am I missing out by having no Rufus Wainwright in my record collection? Because people love Rufus Wainwright. He's very prolific. I've heard him interviewed. I think he's a funny guy. Hey, he's a funny guy. He does all the genres, the pop, the country, the opera, the music, all the genres. But am I missing something, Just?
I think you've got to try it for yourself. I think you've got to go home. I think you've got to play the music. And if it works for you, it works for you.
What you're saying is you've not heard any?
Well...
That's what you're saying, isn't it?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Are you suggesting I should dip into Rufus Wainwright?
Why not?
OK. Catherine, are you a fan of Rufus Wainwright, the RW?
I don't know, but I feel like I would like to be.
I feel I would like to be.
Because there are people I like who like them.
I remember ages
like
ago,
Wainwright.
A friend of mine said, you've got to listen to this Rufus Wainwright song, you'll love it. And I didn't listen to it. I don't click on links.
His sister is also a singer, isn't it?
Well, his dad's Loudon Wainwright, who used to ruin the Jasper Carrot show in the late 70s.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got nothing to do for the next 2 hours. I might YouTube him and, see. I'll let you know if it's worth a...
Ouch.
What?
What you just said.
Would I say something
Nothing to do for the next 2 hours. Producing a groundbreaking breakfast show, I thought.
Oh, that, yeah. But I can do that with half an ear. Oh, he's walking out.
Goodness me.
Get knotted, Kath. Get knotted. Ta-ra.
OK. My plan has worked. Justin.
Orcs.
What we're going to do then, let's have a look in the papers and see. Oh, there's this thing about the purple dog. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't actually.
They've stolen this dog, £16,000 for an admittedly cute dog. They're calling it a lilac bulldog. It doesn't look lilac to me. It looks kind of like a sort of buff brown colour. What do you reckon?
Well, do you know what? Every time I've been on the streets on this one, talking to dog owners, I've never come across anybody who's ever had their dog stolen. Not one person. I don't know. There could be somebody listening right now. It's happened to them.
Could be something in that.
I don't know. But there's a few other things as well in the papers.
Is this one? Have you seen the tattooed woman?
No. Go on, tell me more.
Ian's just banged on the window and he's wearing my jacket. It's very, very tiny and tight on him. He looks lovely.
Bless him.
Right, OK, I'll tell you about this one. This is a teaching assistant turned up for work. She has tattoos on her neck.
Yep.
She's got a piercing, through her nose, like a bit like if you take a prize bull to market. Yep. She's got one of those there. And she's got them up her legs. She says that she was turned away from the job. She's got them on her chest as well and down her arms. She was sent home on the first day of her new job at a Catholic school because of her tattoos. Designs on her feet, hands and neck were inappropriate. She was told to cover them up. Tattoos. I reckon we always get feedback on tattoos on the street. What do you reckon?
It's a good one. I'll tell you a very quick story. My hairdresser the other week came round to me and she went for a new job recently and she covered up all of her tattoos for the job interview. She's got a few piercings as well. And when she went for that meeting, she said, look, yes, I'm covered up today, but just to let you know, I have got tattoos and the piercings I've got, which may look slightly unusual. If you want to give me this job, I can take those out for you if you so desire. So she's certainly been for jobs before where she feels her tattoos have prevented her from actually getting that job.
All right.
That's how serious she is.
Well, we'll do the should your tats hold you back? Phone in.
Absolutely. Game on.
08459 455 555. But if you see Justin Dealey thundering towards you on the streets, that's what he'll be asking you.
Well, I haven't got one tattoo.
I haven't
nowadays, I feel like I'm like the odd one out. Wherever I go somewhere, most people have got tattoos, and some of them, they look ridiculous. If you've got a tattoo which is special to you, let's just say it's the name of your child, that I think is perfectly understandable. But some people who get these weird tattoos, these Chinese tattoos, what has that got to do with you and your family? Absolutely nothing. Don't get it personally, but there you go. Just my opinion.
If you do get it, call me now. 08459 455 555. Ian, can you stop? What were you putting in your pocket? My keys.
Sorry, what was that? What was that?
Are you producing in there?
Yeah, I am.
Going well?
It's going very well, actually. Turns out this job is a piece of cake, and I think Catherine is proving that my job is really, really difficult and not just anyone can do it.
Oh, really?
Do you need me to come and help you, Catherine?
No, it's fine.
Oh, OK, carry on.
OK, thanks very much. So that's why we don't talk to producers very often, because it's a skill, isn't it, Justin, as you know?
It is, yes, a very big skill. A very big skill indeed.
Skill. Ian's got his shoes under the desk here. He's in there in his bare feet.
What a muppet. OK, I'm going to go to the streets. I will catch you guys later on.
You're a good one. I'll speak to you later.
Take care.
Bye.
Yes, bye.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Already looking rather slow on the Great North Road this morning at the Black Cat roundabout. Also the A1M heading southbound, rather heavy around junction 7 for Stevenage. And the M25 heading anti-clockwise, starting to build up at the moment between junction 21 for the M1 and junction 20 at Kings and Langley. And on camera this morning in Boreham with the Barnet Bypass already queuing between Stirling Corner and Mill Hill Circus. Onto the trains and delays on both London Midland and Virgin services between Milton Keynes Central and Watford Junction, and this is all due to a signalling problem there. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Nicola, and may I say you are wonderful on the travel, and I will never be rude to you. If we're missing anything on your journey to or from work, 08459 455 555, give us a shout. Coming up in the next hour, hopefully Iain will get off his backside and get back in here, because frankly, I think I'm storming this and he should be worried. Coming up, we'll be talking about all kinds of things and taking your phone calls too. Don't miss it.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines: Watford Hospital criticised over cleanliness, fresh calls for Milton Keynes taxi row counsellors to resign, and scathing report into treatment of Hertfordshire cancer patient.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The daughter of a double stroke patient has branded infection control at Watford General Hospital a joke. Lara Weatherly found a cushion that her father had been sitting on covered in another patient's urine and faeces. Hospital Trust Chief Executive Samantha Jones has apologised personally to the family and says unannounced spot checks have started on all wards, but Lara says her father was stripped of his dignity.
You should be made as comfortable as possible. You should be treated as kindly as possible. It really isn't happening. And, when you come in and you've seen your father crying, and you just wouldn't even treat an animal like that. It's just awful.
Meanwhile, a radical plan to improve the NHS and cut its funding deficit is being unveiled by health service bosses today. They suggest patients could be offered financial incentives to lose weight, but they warn the NHS will still need increased funding from the government. The councillors at the heart of the Milton Keynes taxi scandal faced fresh calls to resign last night. At a packed council meeting, members of the public called on Subhan Shafiq, Stuart Burke and Gladstone Mackenzie to quit. Former Mayor Shafiq was booed. Leader of the council, Peter Marland, said the council has no power to make them resign.
I've said the same thing all along. They have to look at their own consciences. As far as I'm aware, only one of those councillors has offered a full apology. It's not within the council's gift to make them resign. They just have to think about what they've done.
Anti-terrorist police have searched a house in Kempston following the arrest of a 25-year-old woman in Bedfordshire yesterday morning. She's accused of preparing acts of terrorism. The house in Granville Street was one of two to be searched in Bedfordshire. Officials in Canada say a gunman who killed a soldier and attacked the Parliament in Ottawa was a Muslim convert considered to be a high-risk suspect. The man had had his passport confiscated to prevent him fighting abroad. A notorious police killer is to be released from prison after serving more than 45 years behind bars. Harry Roberts, who's 78, was convicted of murdering 3 unarmed policemen in West London in 1966. A woman from Hertfordshire who's dying from cancer could have been saved, according to a scathing report published today. The Health Service Ombudsman says West Hertfordshire NHS Trust failed to detect and treat the disease. More from Lee Agnew.
The 41-year-old was referred to a breast clinic in May 2010, but the correct tests weren't carried out to rule out cancer. The single mother has since been told that she has terminal breast cancer, which has spread to the liver, brain and bone. The Ombudsman says that had she been treated early enough, her life would probably have been saved. It says the Trust, which has already paid the woman compensation, should make a sincere apology and ensure that it can't happen again.
In sport, Liverpool lost 3-0 at home to Real Madrid in the Champions League last night, but Arsenal scored twice in the closing minutes to win 2-1 away to Anderlecht. The weather slightly warmer but cloudier than yesterday, with patchy light rain possible at times, a maximum temperature 16 degrees Celsius, and you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
It's a beautiful village. We're surrounded by nice open countryside.
Telling everyone about where you live.
You've got the old part on one side of the A6, you've got the newer part on the other side.
All this week, we're exploring Barton Le Clay.
Some lovely old buildings, so it gives it a real sort of sense of a real feature to the place.
The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Don't worry, guys. We've had words. Normal.
Good morning, BBC Three Counties.
Oh, for goodness sakes, you can't keep a quiet morning. This is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Busy show this morning. Dirty hospitals. Well, Watford Hospital in particular. Horrible story about the conditions one stroke victim found himself in. We'll be speaking to the hospital later. We won't. They're not coming on. Also talking about tats this morning. Well, there's lots of stuff in the papers, actually. We'll just have a leisurely stroll through the papers as the morning goes on, I think.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
Got one.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
We forgot to update about the story of Jenny Winder.
Oh, of course, Jenny Winder, the head teacher of... Is it Elstow?
Elstow School.
Elstow School, as you may well remember. It's been a big story, not just been on this station, it's been on loads of national radio stations, in all the papers. I think it may have even popped up on a few TV reports. She was the she is the headmistress of Elstow School, and had booked to take a week off in term time in January, despite the fact that she regularly tells parents that they can't take time off in term time. And there was... Well, there was a mixed reaction. Some people were furious at this, and some people said, well, she deserves it. Well, what's the latest?
The latest is she's cancelled her holiday. That's according to newspaper reports.
Which would imply that the extenuating circumstances, the exceptional circumstances, I think is the phrase, weren't actually that exceptional. If she could cancel it just after a few days, then I guess... that means that perhaps she didn't have the valid reason that was being implied that she did have.
Really surprising turnaround, considering when we spoke to her, and we didn't speak to her very much because she just didn't want to discuss it, but Justin managed to catch a couple of words with her, and the couple of words were, my personal life is my personal life.
Well, for example, those words were, listen to this.
OK. All right, we're teaming.
This is 5 Live.
Thank you very much indeed. Thanks for the insight. It's just coming up to 5 to 5.
This is where this story took us.
At a primary school in Bedfordshire are angry with the head teacher after finding out that she's taking time off during term time. Jenny Winder, who's the head of Elstow School in Bedford's booked a week of leave in January, just after the end of the Christmas holiday. Parents aren't happy because they face a £60 fine if they take their children out of school without permission during term time. Our reporter Justin Dealey spoke to Jenny Winder outside the school.
That's where the story took us, to the bizarre parallel universe where Justin Dealey is a 5 Live reporter. I'm hoping that gig is over for him now. It would have to be, wouldn't it? I mean, that was his one story.
Well...
he's ours for keeps.
Stranger things have happened, haven't they?
He's ours for keeps, isn't he? We can't get rid of him. He's like it's like when you drop one in the car, you just cannot get rid of it. That stench.
Wow.
Sorry?
That's a simile and a half.
Thank you very much indeed. So she's not going on holiday. I'm assuming she's apologised to everyone as well. No, it turns out she hasn't said sorry. She hasn't said sorry. 08459 455 555. I also want to... We've kind of avoided the whole Ched Evans thing.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen his statement?
No.
I didn't see it. Have you heard any of his statement?
No, tell me.
I'll tell you later on, because it's... well, he doesn't use the word rape. He uses the word infidelity. Yeah, I know. It's an interesting... We'll have a look at it later on. 08459 455 555. But, well, a rather tragic and sad local story. The family of an elderly patient have sparked a cleaning programme at Watford General Hospital after finding him sitting in somebody else's filth. I think you know what I'm talking about when we say that. Laura Weatherly raised the alarm after finding her 76-year-old father using a pressure cushion encrusted with somebody else's urine and faeces. been covered with a sheet as though to cover it up. Well, the directors at West Herts Hospital Trust have responded to this and a number of other complaints with a programme of unannounced spot checks. Terrible story. We all use hospitals. We all have family members that go to hospitals, and the thought of somewhere being unclean like that is horrible. We can speak to Eric's daughter, Lara, now. Morning, Lara.
Hello. How are you?
I'm really shocked by this story. Actually, bits of it don't shock me. I think that's the sad thing. Tell me about your dad. Why did he have to go to hospital?
Well, basically, he's been in and out of hospital like your mother, sort of for like last couple of years with infections. This time he had a really bad urine infection, and he also had a lung infection as well. A couple of months before he had pneumonia. So
he's been very poorly, hasn't he?
Yeah, really, really poorly. So they admitted him, and then they put him on some heavy antibiotics, and then they moved him to an isolation ward. That was like around the 4th of October on the Saturday. And he hasn't been sitting out in the chair on the pressure cushion because he's been really poorly. When I went up there on Saturday the 11th, a week later, they'd only just started sitting him out on the pressure cushion for him to eat his breakfast. Well, when I went in there, where the pressure cushion was inflated, it was sort of pushing him off the chair. So I went over to sort of hold my dad, and as I looked down the side, I could see it was encrusted with urine and faeces. But they put like a pillowcase on top of it. So immediately I thought, right, I took a photograph, and then we called the nurses. The nurses came in, and as the nurses were putting him back to bed, I said to the nurses, is there anyone in charge on this unit here? And they just looked at me and said, no, there's no one in charge.
The implication that you've made up from the fact that there was a pillowcase over the top is that someone possibly knew about this and was just doing it to cover it up.
Well, yeah, excuse the pun, literally, yeah. I then I had to go out to the other unit to find someone in authority, managed to get a sister, explained to her, and then she said, I'll be round in a minute. It probably sounds like, it's probably your father's, which I damn well knew it wasn't my father's. So I came back in. That's when I thought, well, I'll take the video. So I took the video. Then the sister came in then and said, well, it looks to me like it could be your father's. And I said it wasn't, For one thing, it can't be his urine. It's all dried, and he's got a catheter as well, suprapubic catheter. And then they put their hands up eventually and said, yeah, we really apologise. We'll, investigate it. We'll take it further. And that was that. That was the end of that.
This is just a real basic. This isn't even, the complication of giving the right medication or something. This is just basic cleanliness in a hospital.
It's disgusting.
Well, it is. There's no other word for it.
If you saw it, it's just absolutely disgusting.
There are other incidents in the hospital that you're not particularly happy with, Lara. What are they?
No, there was a couple of other things. There was one where my father was handing some mouldy bread, which they did put their hands up to and said all the bread was chucked away. And there was 2 incidences on the night staff where, obviously, my father. They'd found a blockage in his bowel. My father's got quite a large stomach, and they'd been giving him some laxatives to try and clear this big blockage that he's got. He opened his bowels up. When the night nurse come round, she only half cleaned him up. He was still filthy down there. And then she turned around and said, just leave it. The morning staff can deal with that.
Do you know what? That's the one that doesn't surprise me.
No,
that's the one where I heard that and I thought, yeah, I can believe that. And I think that's so tragic. It's so sad, isn't it? There's no dignity in that at all.
No, there isn't. And then he got really cold in the night as well. And he rang the buzzer and he asked for a blanket. And the nurse came in and said, well, can't your wife bring one in? One of them ones you throw over a horse. So I just,
Well, how's your dad now?
He's home now. It did have a knock-on effect, actually, which I'm going to just quickly tell you about. Go on. I had a meeting. I'd just like to say that I haven't even spoken to Samantha Jones. She did meet with my mum and dad.
That's the chief executive of the NHS Trust in charge of Watford General. We've not spoken to her. She didn't want to come on the show today. She's too busy, apparently.
No.
But we've got a statement. We've got a few lines for her. But go on. So you've not been able to speak to her?
She's not apologised to me. She's and I had a big meeting with Tracy Carter, the chief nurse, Rachel Reid, who's the matron of the isolation AA unit. Samantha Jones was meant to be there. There was a no-show from her. Anyway, on the Friday, my mother got a phone call saying that my father was going to be discharged. The doctor at the hospital said that he needed his bowel to be x-rayed. The nurse knew nothing about this, and she said to my mother, look, I'll ring you back. The nurse did ring back and said, oh, yes, he is having an x-ray, because they wanted to make sure this blockage was cleared before he went home. Anyway, next thing you know, my father, he'd opened his bowels up about 30 minutes before he was due to be discharged. The nurse come round, again, didn't clean him properly whatsoever. Then they put him in the transport. They didn't even dress him. They just left him in his gown and nappy, and even the paramedics were quite shocked about it, the transport people, because there was mess all on the stretcher as well, and they said they hadn't been cleaned up. And when we got home, we've realised that he was sent home without an x-ray, and we had to call the doctors out yesterday, and the doctor turned around and said that he needed an enema because he hadn't been to the toilet for 5 days because of the blockage.
Samantha Jones, we've mentioned a few names. This is focused on Samantha Jones. She is the Chief Executive of the NHS Trust in charge of Watford General. She is too busy to come on the show. I think that's the excuse that we've been given, and we offered her several options of when she could come on. She can come on anytime she wants. She says, this is what we've got. She's apologised to your dad and his family for the unacceptable condition of the cushion. She says when this was brought to the attention of nursing staff, it was immediately removed. Why it would need to be brought to the attention of nursing staff is beyond me. Samantha Jones also says disciplinary action could be taken and a new regime of unannounced spot checks have been put in place. What's your reaction to that, Lara?
Well, they've been saying this for a few years now about the spot checks. I mean, the system is obviously failing. It's not working. I mean, how can you have a cushion like that, which had been sitting in there for a whole week? I was told by the nurse that when the patients go into the isolation unit, into the room, the pressure cushion goes in there with them. So that's come from somewhere. I want to know where that cushion has come from, because that's somebody else's faeces and urine on there. So, and they've all missed that. It's all these spot checks. They've not done a spot check. All the nurses have missed it. Everybody's missed that.
I would love to question Samantha Jones. Lara, listen, I really appreciate you speaking out.
Okay.
Got my fingers crossed for your dad. I hope everything turns out all right for him.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And well done. Thank you for sharing your story. Watford General Hospital there. No one from the hospital prepared to come on, which is... I was going to say, it's a shame. Actually, I think it's pretty poor. I think it's pretty poor that they've not come on. Yeah. Because this is a basic thing. The being sent home to one side, the basic cleanliness of a hospital, that's obvious.
And that's all part of infection control. She's not alone in this either, and it would appear that it's not just Watford. We've had a text through from Lisa in Hitchin saying our son was 6 months old when he first had to go into a Bedfordshire hospital with a bout of bronchiolitis. He had to stay in for 4 days. Normally I wouldn't mind hospitals, but I kept pestering the doctors by the end to discharge us when our son started to get better. During the 4 days there was a very high number of children being admitted with a sickness bug, and in those 4 days the only cleaning I saw was when a scruffy bloke pushed a filthy-looking mop around the middle of the floor on only one of those days. The hand sanitisers were also empty. The doctors agreed it was unacceptable, said there was nothing they could do because the cleaning was contracted out, so it was nothing to do with them. I caught the sickness bug, but thankfully my son didn't.
Your stories, please. 08459 455 555. On a lighter note, we'll be talking about tats, and we're also talking about when have you been caught bunking off from school or work?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Did I miss travel? Did we miss it?
Maybe she's not talking to you anymore.
Well, do you want to introduce it?
I was so nice to her before.
Do you want to introduce it, see if she talks to you? No?
Can I put you straight through on the line? Oh, they've got a fire alarm going off. We've got to go out.
Oh, that's it! And we can't hear that? We're not allowed to hear the fire alarm at the travel centre? That's outrageous! Well, let's keep our fingers crossed that everybody in the travel building is safe and secure. 7:17. It's Thursday, the 23rd of October. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The daughter of a stroke patient has criticised Watford General Hospital after finding a cushion that her father had been sitting on covered in another patient's urine and faeces. The councillors at the heart of the Milton Keynes taxi scandal faced fresh calls to resign last night. At a packed council meeting, members of the public booed former Mayor Saban Shafiq. And a woman from Hertfordshire who's dying from cancer could have been saved. That's according to a scathing report published today.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Oh, if only there was sports on Saturday. What? There is? Stroke R?
On Saturday afternoon, live football is the order of the day. We'll start with hearing how the managers are thinking.
Both going into it in good form, so we know how difficult the afternoon's going to be.
I want the individuals to flourish. I want the individuals to get better.
Then move on to live commentary of Watford, Luton, MK Dons and Stevenage.
Onto his right foot, goes for the far corner and scores! Great strike, and Watford take the lead here!
Straight into the bum of Freeman, and it's a gift, and Stevenage have the lead!
Rounding off the day, there's your views and all the reaction after the final whistles.
He seems bulletproof to me, but football-wise, he's deluded and clueless.
Three Counties Sport, Saturday from 2, here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, gosh, I've just seen the picture of the offending inflatable cushion. It's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's horrible. Well, your mum or dad sitting on that? It's disgusting. Paul's on the line. Morning, Paul.
Good morning.
What you got for us, sir?
Right, well, talking about hospitals, my daughter has got an incurable brain tumour. 3 weeks ago, she fell from the top to the bottom of the stairs. Paramedics came, absolutely brilliant, took her into a hospital. There it was diagnosed that she had a fractured cheekbone, broken nose, and couldn't walk. And she's got a very weak left hand anyhow because of the radiotherapy. But anyhow, she was discharged. She went in about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock that morning. She was discharged at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. At 6 o'clock, we had to call for the paramedics again. They said, who on earth discharged her? She's got to go straight back, obviously, to hospital. Well, I obviously followed up, went, and it was just at the time the nurses and doctors, it was changeover time, but I just barged in, grabbed hold of a doctor, said, come with me, and told him the story. And I have to say, the doctor that saw to us was, again, brilliant, did various tests, and he said, of course, she's got to stay in. So that was it. She's been in there now 3 weeks.
How's she doing?
Well, I mean, she can't walk because now, obviously, that fall is, she can't get the senses from the brain to her.
How old is she, Paul?
38.
Oh, that must be... It's tough when our kids get ill, isn't it? And we see them helpless like that.
But going on from that, Ian, it's... my wife and I arrived one afternoon, and the nurse was just going into her bay and pulling the curtains round, and we stayed outside, and we heard the nurse say, "What do you want?" She said, "I want to go to the toilet." "Well, you've just been." At which stage, I just flung open the curtains. I said, "You don't talk to my daughter like that." I said, "Have you not heard the word care?" So she said, "Oh, well, I was only just trying to determine whether she wanted this or wanted that."
Paul, listen, I thought what we need. We don't need a matron on the ward. We need a Paul on the ward, because it is difficult to kind of speak up to figures of authority in hospitals. Do you know what? I'm really lucky because all of the treatment that I've had, my boy's been in hospital recently, and my mum, it's been pretty spot on. Partly, I think, in regards to my mum, because they recognised me off the telly. And I hope it's not true, but I think that they noticed a real difference. They messed up a meal and she didn't get to eat for hours. And we didn't know that she could eat because we had to wait for the doctor to say she could eat. And they messed up. And they were so apologetic about it, so apologetic. And they kept coming in and saying, well, we've spoken to the kitchen and we've spoken to the doctor and we've done this. And I think it's because they recognised me from the telly, which, if that's true, is really, really sad. Because not everybody's got that little bit of influence. But I am genuinely a fan of the NHS. I think most of what it does, it's brilliant. But, and you hear stories like Paul, and you hear stories about like Eric's, and you think...
My husband had an operation a few years ago, and when they brought him round, I noticed that he had been bleeding over down the side of the bed, the bed rails.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a puddle on the floor. They asked me to leave while they cleared him up.
Yeah.
And in fact, in between time, a cleaner went in there. But when I went in, that puddle was still there. I cleaned it up. I cleaned the side of his bed. Not really good enough, is it? Blood's quite obvious.
Blood's obvious. It isn't good enough. And I think it's not good enough. But
I didn't take that further. Maybe I should have said something. I think there's a lot of families doing bits and bobs, and maybe we're covering things up by accident, just because you think, I want it to be nice for them. I want them to be healthy. I want them out as quick as possible.
Well, it's a tough one, isn't it? And it just goes back to that basic thing of hygiene. Hygiene. You wash your hands, you make sure everything around is clean, and that's a basic. And a lot of these, I believe, a lot of these cleaners are contracted in, aren't they? So it's not. It's kind of companies. They put in bids. Whichever offers the cheapest bid, the most efficient bid, they get the gig. But they're just kind of temporary staff cleaners, with the greatest of respect to those people that do that job, and that may be fine for an office complex, but for a hospital, surely you need specialist cleaners in a hospital, one would think, but you don't get them. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us your call on that. And please don't think we're doing a Daily Mail and bashing the NHS at all, but these stories are quite important. Now, Subhan Shafiq, the former mayor of Milton Keynes, made his first public appearance last night since being forced to resign as the mayor after vouching for a cabbie who turned out to be a serial rapist. He's still a councillor, and at a meeting last night, it was discussed his fitness to serve on the council's Health Select Committee was discussed. Many feel his judgment can't be trusted anymore, but the chair of that committee, Tory Alice Bramall, has called for his appointment to be reconsidered. Well, her leader, Edith Ball, joins us now. Morning, Edith.
Good morning, Ian.
So why were Tories calling for Mr Shafiq's appointment to be reconsidered?
Why were they? Well, I think we've made it clear all along since this scandal, it is a scandal, erupted in April, that he showed serious lapse of judgment. He gave a reference to, as you point out, a serial rapist, which cannot be right. So we think it's only right that having shown such a lack of judgment, then he's not the best person to be placed on an important committee, the Health Committee of the Council.
What happened at the meeting last night? It got a bit feisty, didn't it?
Gosh, it did. There were a lot of people in the public gallery who'd come to be heard, and it's always very pleasing to see that. I didn't hear one person in support of Councillor Shafiq, I have to say. I heard a lot of people saying it was outrageous that Councillor McCall, who is the leader of Lib Dems, was refusing to do anything about Councillor Shafiq's appointment.
Now, Councillor McCall wasn't there last night, was he, because he was poorly?
He was poorly, yes, which is very disappointing. And Councillor Burke, who is the deputy leader of the Lib Dems, was there in his stead.
So there was and we'll get on to Councillor Burke in a second. There was a vote. What exactly was the vote for, Edith?
Yeah, well, there'd been a referral from the Health Committee, agreed by the committee, to ask the council if they would ask Councillor McCall, it gets a bit technical, to reconsider the appointment. So the vote was about whether council believed Councillor McCall should reconsider his appointment.
Now, 39 councillors voted in favour. All 13 Liberal Democrats abstained from the vote, and that's got me scratching my head. Why would they do that, do you think?
Well, I think it indicates to me that they believe that there's some truth in what the public were saying. It is Councillor McCall who's refusing to do anything about it.
Now, we mentioned Stuart Burke. He was Stuart Burke and Gladstone Mackenzie, two councillors. They resigned from the council's licensing committee because they also granted this licence to this convicted rapist. Have a listen to this. This is what Stuart Burke had to say about the move last night.
We felt that it was purely political because there were two members who were involved in the taxi licensing affair who were on that committee. One who'd been a member already, that's Gladstone, and the other was Subhan, who'd been newly appointed. It was only Subhan whose attendance at the meeting was considered inappropriate.
Would you like to see Subhan Shafiq continue on the Health Committee?
I think he would make a very good member of that committee because he's a very good councillor.
He'd make a very good member of the committee, Edith. That's according to Stuart Burke.
Well, the committee have decided otherwise. That's why they put the referral to council. I have to say, my own belief is that anybody who showed such a serious lapse in judgment, I would have to question whether it's right for them to be on such an important committee of the council. And clearly the public agree with me.
The Liberal Democrats have accused you of turning this into kind of a political battle, and you're playing politics here. What's your response to that?
I think that's an outrageous suggestion. As councillors, we're elected to represent our constituents, and that's exactly what we're doing. It was very clear last night from the public gallery what the public think, and it's been displayed in all of the media, on your programme, in the press. So it's absolutely not political at all. We are voicing the views of what the folks of Milton Keynes feel.
Edith, I just want to play you one more clip from Stuart Burke from last night, where he talks about he talks about being sorry. Have a listen to this. Now, just to remind people that Stuart Burke, Gladstone Mackenzie, and Subhan Shafiq gave a taxi licence on the referral of Subhan Shafiq to a convicted violent serial rapist. This is what Stuart Burke said last night.
Sorry every day, because it's brought all this down on everybody. I'm sorry for myself, I'm sorry for Subhan, I'm sorry for Gladstone, I'm sorry for all the other councillors involved who've had their reputations besmirched. I'm sorry for the taxi driver, because, he's won what he thought was reasonable, and he's now, become a public figure, not wanting to be. And, there are loads of people who I'm incredibly sorry for, because it's been very difficult to do.
Interesting, I found, that Mr Burke is sorry for what it's done to him and to Subhan Shafiq and for all the other councillors that may have been brought into disrepute. Sorry for the convicted serial rapist for making him a figure in the media. Doesn't say sorry to the potential women, the women that were potentially put at risk in the taxis, does he?
No, he didn't, which I suppose is very, very disappointing. We're very fortunate in that nothing happened, to be honest, but it is pleasing to hear him say sorry. I've never heard him say sorry so many times before, so at least it represents some element of contrition.
Well, how does this work, Edith? What happens next?
Well, as we said, Councillor McCall wasn't at the meeting because he's not well, so Council now will formally write to him and ask him to reconsider his appointment. He is the only person, actually, who decides who goes on committees. That's of people from his group, Lib Dems. So we'll have to wait and see what Councillor McCall decides to do next.
Edith, listen, no doubt we'll speak about this again. Thank you very much for your time. If you want to give us a call on your thoughts on that, you can. I played that clip of Councillor Burke again. We played it earlier. I'm just so shocked by it. He's sorry for himself, sorry for Subhan Shafiq. He's sorry for the convicted, serial, violent rapist who's been made the centre of attention. May I suggest, gentlemen, if you don't want to be the centre of attention, then, I don't know, don't do a rape. Or don't do 4 rapes with your mate, where you batter people. That seems... It's an incredible piece, isn't it? It's
any mention of the other taxi drivers in Milton Keynes, the innocent ones who are now
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
other people that have been neglected from this story, you're absolutely right. The other taxi drivers who now are being eyed with suspicion by association. Have I got it wrong? I'll play that again a bit later on. Am I being harsh on Councillor Stuart Burke? Am I being unfair? To me, this is what I make up. He just seems completely out of touch with the anger, the upset and the fear that this has caused. That's what I seem to be getting from that.
What he's sorry about is that the attention it's brought to the decision.
08459 455 555. And again, just to stress, as we always do stress, because I know people are going, oh, bloody BBC, scaring people up. Tiny percentage of Milton Keynes cab drivers dodge pots. Tiny percentage. It's been a few blokes. Most of them are excellent, hard-working people. So I don't want to plant any seed of fear in people's heads. Right, are they still having a fire there, Kelly?
Yeah, they're all outside in Ricks, where our traffic comes from.
So who's doing trav?
It could be me.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
You've done the trav, you've done the weather, let's be having you.
Oh, thanks. There's heavy traffic on the M1 London bound between Junction 11 Dunstable and Junction 9 at Redbourne. Anti-clockwise on the M25, it's very slow between Junction 21 of the M1 and Junction 19 of the M25 around Watford. There's stop and start traffic on the M25 anti-clockwise between Junction 18 at Chorleywood and Junction 60 on the M40. And the A1M southbound, there's heavy traffic around there, around Junction 7 at Stevenage. Talk amongst yourselves while I scroll down to find out the...
No, you're all right.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
With the headlines, I'm Simon Oxley. The daughter of a stroke patient has criticised Watford General Hospital after finding a cushion that her father had been sitting on covered in another patient's urine and faeces. Hertfordshire-based Tesco say pre-tax profits for the first half of the year are down more than 90% on the same period last year. Tesco now say that profits were overstated by £263 million. That's up from last month's initial estimate of £250 million. And the councillors at the heart of the Milton Keynes taxi scandal faced fresh calls to resign last night. At a packed council meeting, members of the public booed former Mayor Subhan Shafiq.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Mixed fortunes for Liverpool and Arsenal in the Champions League last night. Liverpool lost 3-0 at home to holders Real Madrid, with Mario Balotelli causing added problems for Liverpool manager Brendan Rodgers, as Conor McNamara reports.
Balotelli had swapped shirts at half-time with Madrid's Portuguese defender Pepe. Exchanging shirts before the end of the game has become a real taboo in English football. Rodgers confirmed afterwards he was not happy with Balotelli and he would deal with the matter internally. Cristiano Ronaldo scored the first goal after a sublime double 1-2 to seal into the penalty area. French striker Karim Benzema scored the other two, aided by slack Liverpool defending.
But there was victory for Arsenal, who scored twice in the closing minutes to win 2-1 away to Anderlecht.
Deep cross from Chambers, and Gibbs is there to equalise with his left foot. A brilliant finish from the left back. Sanchez drives it across. Podolski is there and scores. And Arsenal, in added time, have changed the game around with 2 goals in no time at all.
The Luton side, featuring a number of players returning from injury, beat Hemel Hempstead 3-0 in a friendly at the Hatters training ground yesterday afternoon. Curtly Williams, Fraser Franks, Paul Connolly, Luke Rooney and Jake Howells all played. Wickham have been fined £1,000 after admitting an FA charge of failing to ensure players conducted themselves in an orderly fashion. It happened in the closing stages of this month's game against Northampton, who were also fined. And in cycling, 2013 champion Chris Froome says he may skip next year's Tour de France because the course doesn't suit him. BBC Three Counties News and Sports. The next full bulletin is at 8.
This is Catherine Boyle
On BBC Three Counties Radio.
Ah, dear. Your thoughts on Councillor Burke? He says he's sorry for him. He's sorry for the councillors. He's sorry for Subhan Shafiq. He's sorry for the serial violent rapist who's become the centre of attention. Good, I would say. Doesn't say sorry for the potential victims. Doesn't say sorry for potentially putting women's lives and health at risk. It doesn't say sorry, as you're right, Catherine, for all the other cab drivers who are now guilty by association. Doesn't say any of that. Speaking of the grim stuff, we'll do some lighter stuff in a bit. I've sent you the Ched Evans video. The statement. This is the footballer, convicted rapist, Ched Evans. He's released a video, a statement. And I mean,
is he taking any advice whatsoever? Because he should just not say anything.
He shouldn't. I don't think he should say what he said. Watch his cold, dead eyes as he's talking to the camera. Now, obviously he's reading it, and that's fine. You watch it now. Obviously he's reading it, and that's fine, and that's good. But he looks emotionless. Now, remember, he served 2.5 years of a 5-year sentence for rape. Doesn't use the word rape once in that. He calls it infidelity. Since that night, I have constantly regretted my act of infidelity and the damage that has been done on so many fronts. I've served the custodial part of my sentence. It's my hope I'll be able to return. If that's possible, then I shall do so with humility, having learned a very painful lesson. Well, having heard the audio, I've seen the video without the words, I've heard the audio separately, and I'm reading this. I didn't get any humility in that. I didn't get remorse. Now, he thinks he's innocent. And I was having a bit of an argument with people on Twitter last night who said, yeah, he's probably innocent, you're jumping on the media bandwagon. Well, damn those trials by jury, huh? Damn those trials by jury where they get to hear all the evidence and we don't. That doesn't seem fair, does it? Oh, hang on, it's the British legal system. Don't always get it right, but in half good. Works most of the time. The support that has been shown by Natasha, that's his fiancée, our friends and family during the trial and time in prison have kept me strong. Since that night, I've constantly regretted my act of infidelity. Have you watched it all?
Yeah.
It's a minute and a half.
I also know what he was accused of doing, found guilty of doing.
Yeah. Found guilty of rape. He was found guilty of rape.
Well, someone was already in there with this girl who said she couldn't stand up.
Yeah.
And he joined in while people looked through the window.
His infidelity, he calls it. It says here, I've learnt, I will do so with humility, having learned a very painful lesson. Now, from that statement, I don't feel, I'm not listening to a humble man speaking, is what I get from that. 084, we've kind of avoided the Ched Evans story because the whole should he play football or not, doesn't really interest me. I don't know the answer, and we won't sort out the answer by talking about it for 3 hours. I don't really know. But this, I think, this has kind of taken a slight turn now. If you've seen the video, do you feel sorry for him? Do you think he's learnt a lesson? Or do you think it's the Sun here says no shame? The cold, callous words of a man who has been found guilty of rape. Now, he's appealing that, and that but... So I was saying, Kath, I was round with people on Twitter who said, you're jumping on you're a bandwagoner.
Not at all, because we haven't said anything at all about it up to this point.
And also, damn those trials by jury where those jury members get to hear all the evidence, not just one side of the story. You couldn't... I mean, I don't know what else there is to say on that. I'm just putting it out there because it's a big story, and when I heard it last night on the radio, I was shocked by the fact that he refers to a rape as infidelity. 08459 455 555 is the phone number. Lighter stuff. There's been a doctor. What was the story of the doctor bunking off?
This was the doctor who has been struck off for taking sick pay while he was actually off pursuing his other great love, other than medicine and curing people and potentially saving lives, which is watching people jump over fences on horses.
When have you been caught...
He was on the telly as a pundit.
When have you been caught bunking off from school or from work? 08459 455 555. You got some texts?
Yeah, Tim on the text has got one. He says, my wife got caught bunking off work when we went to a televised football match. We were sat in the front row and one of the players scored and celebrated literally right in front of us. She was on the TV as clear as day.
I love that. There's so many of those stories. I love it. Steve's in Hatfield. What have you got, Steve?
Good morning. Well, I've got a couple, two for you. One, I bunked off school. I used to go to school in Hemel.
Yeah.
And I've been back a long time ago. School's not there now. I skived off and one of my mates set the fire alarm off at school while I was bunking off.
So So everyone got called out like they're doing at the travel centre now, and the register was read out. Steve,
and I weren't there.
Steve, who's seen Steve? Where is Steve? Did he know? Did your mate do it because you were bunking off?
No, he was just an idiot.
By the way, you take us on to one of my favourite phone-ins. We don't get many calls on it, but have you ever set off a fire alarm? 08459 455 555. And you're a serial bunker, are you, Steve?
I'll tell you what. To be fair, yes, I was. And I'm not proud of it now because, it's affected what I do for a living, but I was terrible. I got caught out. My dad caught me out.
Yeah.
My brother was off home sick today, so I skived off to go home with him. We had the builders in. My dad phoned up. The builder answered the phone. Oh. And my dad asked to me, so he said, which one do you want to talk to? Both of you.
Oh, mate. Now, has it held you... Do you bunk off from work, or did you kind of learn your lesson when you turned 17?
No, I learned my lesson. It was just... I think at the time when I was at school, it was like if you couldn't keep up, they're not bothered about it. They weren't bothered about it. And so I weren't bothered. 15, 16-year-old at school can't be bothered. Why should I bother?
Steve, thank you very much indeed. Can I just say, and this is my advice to all young people, bunk off school. Bunk off school more. Because I never bunked off school.
I never bunked off school, and where we are now.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I really regret it. I'm not saying bunk off all the time, and there'll be complaints. I don't care. Looking back, I've got very few regrets. One of them is I didn't bunk off school a few times. I didn't bunk off and go and do something exciting, go and live a life.
You wouldn't have done something exciting.
I'd have sat at home watching...
Neighbours, and then watching it again after tea. So don't bunk off school, kids. Read more books.
Good cop, bad cop. There we go.
Talking about fire alarms reminded me of my first year at university. I was in all-girls halls in A Cruel Twist of Fate.
Gosh.
Weren't supposed to have any lads in. Also, my dad thought.
Yeah.
Anyway, my favourite moments were the fire alarms went off in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And the number of sheepish boys wearing girls' dressing gowns.
Hey!
Out on the lawn.
Your fire alarm stories, ever set one off or ever been caught out? I stayed in a really posh hotel in Edinburgh once, one of the poshest hotels, really expensive. I wasn't paying for it. Telly was. And the fire alarm went off 3 times. And I said to this on the second one. I said to the staff, "Is this?" Yeah, it's because it's such an old hotel. The steam from the showers sets the fire alarms off, and we have to evacuate the building every time. How ridiculous is that?
That's crazy.
Fire alarm stories, bunking off stories, and Tesco stories. Tom in Watford, you've called in about Tesco.
Yeah, they've announced 92% down on their profits.
92%?
92% down, yes.
92% down? Really?
Yeah.
That can't be possible.
Well, that is possible. They've just announced it.
Did they just announce it now? All right,
Yeah,
go on then. Tell me about that, because that does sound incredible.
Well, I'm not surprised that they've lost their way. If I go back 5-6 years, when they were streamlining the business, what they were doing was they were pushing out or making it tougher for the experienced retail management, and they were sort of like in favour of young university graduates. So they were losing the experience at shop level.
So instead of using experienced people, Tom, they were getting people with good qualifications.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I've a very good friend of mine. He had 40 years with Tesco's, and they pushed him out.
Tom, listen, it's not the greatest line, so we'll let you go. Catherine, what were you saying? Sorry.
I can't find anything about 96% down.
I can.
Where?
I found two. This is from CNBC. Pre-tax profits at UK supermarket giant Tesco fell by 91.9% to 112 million in the first half of 2014. Now, I think that's because...
Just spent $1 billion revamping stores.
Well, yeah, I think that's because of the overestimate they put on... You know that there was that scandal that they lied about how much money they thought they were going to make. I think that 91% includes that over-exaggeration.
Right.
I think.
Because all I've got here is supermarket post 6% fall to 3.3 billion in the last 12 months, but that was at the beginning of this year.
Well, then there's one on the BBC that says, yeah... It's confusing. I don't really understand the figures. Either way, Tesco's doing really badly. It's mad, isn't it? Because it's Tesco. I remember when Tesco were opening up, like in China and America and stuff, and taking over the world.
They pretty much own my town, it has to be said.
I wonder if it's because of my friend Conan, because my friend Conan is one of these do-gooders that has got money to burn, and so he shops in the local shop, and he was really anti-Tesco. Wanted to, would boycott
Hang on a minute,
Tesco.
Just look at this report.
Does it mention Conan at all?
Surname?
McRae, is it mentioned?
Conan.
No, he's not in there?
No. But I'm sure it's got something to do with it.
It's incredible. Well, listen, aren't we dealing with national news today? Aren't we?
Aren't we though? So,
Ched Evans, is that the voice of a man? We'll see if we can get a bit of the audio and play some of his statement later. Are those the words of a man who is remorseful and has learnt a lesson? And why is Tesco doing so badly? It can't just be the Aldi and the Lidls, can it? Because I shop in... My choice of supermarket is which supermarket is nearer to me. If I'm in the town where I live, it's Waitrose. If I'm at home, it's Tesco. That decides where I go.
Depends on what I want. If I want meat, I'll go to one. And if I just want to go quick, I'll go to the other. If I'm not bothered about being bumped into, people being rude to me, being squashed against the various fitments, I'll go to one. And if I want a bit of space, I'll go to the other.
We've got... I know Justin's out talking about tattoos. Maybe we can send him out on one of those stories as well. Your pick, Catherine, because they're both good talkers.
Cool.
08459 455 555. Fingers crossed that travel is back.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Starting off on the M1 London bound, very slow moving at the moment between junction 11 of Dunstable Road and junction 9 at Redbourne. Taking a look at the M25 on the sensors, very slow moving heading anti-clockwise between junction 21 for the M1 and junction 19 at Watford. Also rather heavy anti-clockwise between 18 at Chorleywood and junction 16 for the M40. On the trains there are delays at the moment of about 15 minutes on both London Midland and Virgin trains between Milton Keynes Central and Watford Junction. It's all due to a signalling problem. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, it's suddenly become a very, very busy show. We're talking about bunking off, we're talking about Tats, we're talking about Tesco, we're talking about Ched Evans. We'll get the audio from the Ched Evans statement and we'll play that out a little bit later on. In the meantime, it's 7:46. It's Thursday, the 23rd of October. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The daughter of a stroke patient has criticised Watford General Hospital after finding a cushion that her father had been sitting on covered in another patient's urine and faeces. Hertfordshire-based Tesco has recorded a 92% fall in pre-tax profits in the 6 months to August. The supermarket's overstatement of its profits was found to have had an impact of £263 million, even more than originally thought. And the councillors at the heart of Milton Keynes taxi scandal faced fresh calls to resign last night. At a packed council meeting, members of the public booed former Mayor Subhan Shafiq. Coming up, Bedfordshire Day? What? Let's find out more after the weather with Georgina.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello there, quite a cloudy day today. There will be just the odd bright spell, but not for everybody. I think most of us will have a dry day, but we're going to have some spots of drizzle around too. So it's always going to have a damp feel to the day with highs of 15 degrees Celsius, which is pretty normal for this time of year. But there's also a fresh southwesterly breeze. Now tonight we've got drizzle and rain continuing, perhaps some mist and low cloud too, with lows of 12 degrees. And tomorrow, fair amount of rain, actually quite a wet day tomorrow. It will be light at first, but we're going to have some heavier bursts within it with highs of 16 degrees Celsius. Over the weekend though, much drier, brighter weather, a little on the breezy side, particularly on Saturday, but still probably feeling a lot more pleasant in the sunshine. That's your latest forecast.
On BBC One.
There's a story that unites each of us with every animal on the planet. It's a story of the greatest of all adventures, the journey through life. They will fight battles. They will be strong, cunning, and ingenious, and will do whatever it takes to win a mate.
Life Story with David Attenborough.
Many lives, one epic journey.
Starts tonight at 9 on BBC One and BBC One HD.
What on earth is going on with the callers? Peter in Walmer Green. Morning, Peter.
Good morning.
What you got for us, boss? What do you want to whinge about today?
I just wanted to talk about the supermarkets, really.
Oh, yeah, go on. Tesco, let me just give these stats again, because they're in the news, so therefore it's true. Tesco has recorded a 92% fall in pre-tax profits in the 6 months to August. That seems incredible to me.
Well, that seems incredible to me. I mean, I know nothing about their statistics, so I wouldn't like to quote on, wouldn't like to talk about that, really.
Oh.
What I was going to say on Tesco's, they seem to have lost their basic customer, really, because I went in there recently and they pre-packed sprouts from time to time, and they had a pack in there. 10 sprouts in there, £1.50.
Whoa!
That's not their core customer.
15 pence a sprout?
Absolutely.
I tell you what you don't get anymore, Peter, and kids don't know this, and I used to enjoy this on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
You'd have a big bag of sprouts, and my mum would make me cross them. My mum would make me put the little cross at the bottom.
Yeah,
you know, kids don't do that anymore.
Well, when I cook most days, I do 12 sprouts prior to starting cooking.
You count your sprouts?
No, I put 12 sprouts on.
You count your sprouts?
I always do 12.
Why do you do 12 sprouts?
Well, I could do 10 if I haven't got enough. Well, don't make any difference.
Who counts this? One sprout at 12.
Anyway,
stop at 12. Hey, I'm feeling a bit crazy today. Let's have 13 sprouts.
I pre-cook them before I start cooking my main meal.
Yeah.
And I'll eat the sprouts between cooking the meal.
I bet you're like my nan sprouts. Absolutely tasteless and soggy.
Oh, well, I don't make them like that.
My nan couldn't cook vegetables. Hey, Peter, can I speak freely to you?
Yeah.
I bet you're a bloody awful cook.
I know, I'm a very good cook.
I bet you're not. I bet you're not.
I live on a sheltered housing site, and the manager has told me I eat better than most of the men that's been.
Well, that doesn't say a lot, Peter. That doesn't say a lot.
Oh, well, I can assure you I cook well for myself. Anyway.
Peter, tell him about the red wine, because this is what perked me up.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, I bet it does.
Well, when I go down the aisle looking at the wines, I've got 6 or 7 Merlots that I look for.
I never hardly ever buy in Tesco's because it doesn't compare in prices with Asda's.
Yeah.
And I've got a selection where I only buy Merlot when it's on special.
Yeah.
And I buy quite a lot of red wine in Asda's.
Yeah.
Because when I walk down the aisle in Tesco's, there's very few people buying wine in there.
So, Peter, what what dictates which shop you go to? Is it location? Is it price? What is it?
Well, yeah, but it's partly ambience and all, really.
Ambience?
Yeah.
The ambience?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
which supermarket has got the best ambience?
Well, I still feel that the atmosphere in Asda's. I went into Aldi Saturday.
Yeah.
Bought nothing at all.
No, because of the ambience.
No, because
You're making me laugh today.
I didn't like what it looked like.
You didn't like the atmosphere and the ambience in Aldi, but in Asda it's spot on, is it?
Well, it's better than. Oh, so you laughing?
I am laughing, Peter.
Well,
yes, because you're being a silly sausage today.
It's better than some of the other supermarkets.
Kath, right?
Some are half dead.
Peter decides on which shop he shops in on the ambience.
No, I didn't say that.
You did say that!
I said...
You just said it! You used that word!
I agree. If I'm in the mood to be ruffled and shoved around,
I'll go... If you're in the mood for meat...
Well,
if I'm in the mood for being rammed up against the shelving unit, I'll go Tesco's. If I want a more relaxed shop, I'll go Waitrose.
A relaxed shop, that's precisely that.
Yeah.
I have never been rammed up against the meat counter.
You haven't lived.
Well, you've got a wife with you.
Yeah, but exactly, Peter. Peter never makes me laugh.
I'm always in the way in Tesco.
He did say he chooses which shop he buys stuff in on the ambience. He went into Lidl and he didn't like the atmosphere, so he left. Oh, that's made me laugh, Peter. Thank you so much. 08459 455.
If Lidl's listening, I know they're taking customer comments for their billboards at the moment. There's one for you.
Oh, dearie me. Now, Christmas Day. Love Christmas Day. Easter Day. Birthday, Wednesday. I love all of those days.
What about Bank Holiday Monday?
Oh, yeah, they're good. What about Bedfordshire Day? We don't have one, do we? We're not satisfied with getting the Bedfordshire flag officially recognised. The Friends of Bedfordshire Society have set their sights on creating an internationally recognised day, of celebration for the county. Well, Justin Dealey has been speaking to the people in the county about their love for the county. That county is Bedfordshire County.
The wind, the miles of beautiful open countryside, Dunstable Downs, the spiritual home of Bedfordshire. I'm here to find out what people think is so special about this county.
There's a nice countryside. Well, down in the villages, they've got Eddlesborough. Come on, help.
Well, you've got Dunstable, you've got the canal and the river, which is lovely. Beautiful walks, nice market towns, which is important.
We come from Leighton Buzzard.
Oh, Leighton Buzzard, the home of Kajagoogoo.
You can say that if you want.
Hey, madam, is that a rat or is that a dog? What is that?
That is a very small Rottweiler.
Right, OK, I'm not going to mess. We'll keep this quite brief then. Wait, you're ruining the ambience. What's the most special thing about Bedfordshire? What stands out for you?
The beautiful women that live here, like me and these two. My daughter and my daughter-in-law.
Apart from the sexy ladies, what else about Bedfordshire?
The countryside, the people, we're friendly. Look at this beautiful place.
You wouldn't change it for the world, would you?
Oh, yeah, I'd move abroad if I could, get a bit of sunshine.
Right, can't be that good then. Thanks, madam.
OK.
What is going on with today's show? I hope you're enjoying it half as much as I am. Luke Blackstuff is founder of the Society and joins me now. Morning, Luke.
Morning.
The Friends of Bedfordshire Society, how long has that been going?
Really, it's a fairly new organisation. We've only been going a few months. We really started so that we had a face to try and to recognise the Bedfordshire flag with.
Now, and describe the flag. The flag is quite unusual. I saw a picture of it yesterday. Describe it to our listeners.
OK, there's three main parts to it. The first is a red and yellow quartered back panel. So you've got yellow on the top left and bottom right, and red the other way around. Down the centre is a black panel with 3 shells in it, and then horizontally across is a blue and white wavy line.
What's the shells? What's the connection with landlocked Bedfordshire?
The black panel with the shells comes from the arms of the Duke of Bedford.
Ah, I see. Why do you want a Bedfordshire Day? What would it mean to you?
Something great.
Luke? That's the end of that. Again, MI5 have stepped in. The government do not want you to hear that interview. Luke, we got the main gist of it. Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much for that.
Okay.
We can try and get him back. We've only got a minute, though. And,
Why don't we all have a county day where we all celebrate the county that we are in?
There is great danger of mispronunciation. That is why. Bedfordshire Day, do you think it's a good idea?
What do you think it'd say?
Country. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. I like societies like that. I know our tongue was slightly in our cheek with Justin. I do like societies like that. The older I get, the more parochial I get, and the smaller I get, literally and spiritually as well. I like local newspapers. Some of them are rubbish. But I like
inaccurate.
And completely inaccurate, and make up stories to fill their fetid pages.
And malicious.
Malicious nonsense. Staffed by people who can't get jobs elsewhere. But some are excellent. Some are really, really good. And I like the feeling of community that you get from those kind of things and those kind of societies. If ever I'm walking through a village or a small town and I see vegetable fair on in a small town, I always go in.
A vegetable fair?
Yeah, you know where they have vegetable...
Like a tomato toboggan?
No, don't be such a plum. Where they have, they have...
Radish roundabout?
No, let me finish the sentence. Where they have vegetable competitions. You know, like best plums.
Biggest marrow.
The biggest marrow. Who's got the juiciest plums.
Hey, did you see my pumpkins?
I know, and I wish you'd put your jacket back on, because it really is...
I grew some pumpkins. They're climbing up the wall. Is that normal?
I did. When I came to your house, I saw your pumpkins. They're up in the air.
They're not anymore. They've got quite heavy. They've lowered themselves gently to the ground.
Are they going to be hacked open at the weekend? Are you going to do a bit of spooky stuff with them?
I might.
Yeah.
I might.
I love a good pumpkin.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for letting me see your pumpkins.
That's all right. I mean, they were quite obvious.
They were so pert at the time, but it's sad that they're drooping now. 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Starting off on the Great North Road, it's looking quite slow at the moment, approaching the Black Hat roundabout. The A1M also slow on the sensors at the moment, just around junction 8 for Stevenage. And the M1 London bound, that's looking extremely heavy at the moment, between junction 10 for Luton Airport Spur Road and junction 7 for Hemel Hempstead. The M25 heading anti-clockwise, very slow moving between junction 21 for the M1 and junction 16 at the M40. On the trains, delays of up to about 15 minutes on both London Midland and Virgin trains between Milton Keynes Central and Watford Junction. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
What happened with the fire alarm, Fakeler?
We had to go outside and speak to the firemen. It was all very dramatic.
Ooh, so everyone's safe and well?
Everyone is safe.
You sound so evil this morning.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines: Watford Hospital criticised over cleanliness, plunge in profits at Tesco, and councillors face fresh calls to resign in Milton Keynes taxi row.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The daughter of a stroke patient has criticised Watford General Hospital after finding a cushion that her father had been sitting on covered in another patient's urine and faeces. Hospital Trust Chief Executive Samantha Jones has apologised personally to the family and says unannounced spot checks have started on all wards. But Lara Weatherly says she still wants answers.
They've been saying this for a few years now about the spot checks. I mean, the system is obviously failing. It's not working. I mean, how can you have a cushion like that, which had been sitting in there for a whole week?
Meanwhile, a radical plan to improve the NHS and cut its funding deficit is being unveiled by health service bosses today. They suggest patients could be offered financial incentives to lose weight. Hertfordshire-based Tesco has announced a 92% drop in its pre-tax profits to £112 million in the 6 months to August. An investigation has revealed that the company overstated its profits guidance last month by £263 million, even more than originally thought. The BBC's business editor, Carmel Ahmed, says there's one particularly shocking figure.
Like-for-like sales, that's the amount of money going through the tills in Tesco's stores, is down by 4.6%. This is Tesco. This is a business that when they first announced their first ever quarter-by-quarter decline in sales of 1%, everyone thought this was an absolute crisis.
A Milton Keynes councillor who allowed a rapist to drive a private hire vehicle has explained his decision after members of the public called on councillors to resign at a PAC meeting last night. Stuart Burke was the chairman of the licensing committee when a suspension of Nadine Ahmed Kiani's licence was lifted.
It's a difficult question to answer because people say, well, you gave a licence to a rapist. And I said, well, there isn't an answer to that question. I did. That's what we did. I wasn't alone in that. There were other members of the committee who did it twice, and we did it because we looked at all the evidence and that was the decision we came to. I mean, other people go, I don't understand how you do that, but that's what we did.
The head teacher of a school in Bedfordshire has cancelled her holiday to the Caribbean during term time. Jenny Winder, who runs Elstow School, had been criticised for booking leave shortly after the Christmas holiday. The decision was confirmed by Bedford Borough Council. A woman from Hertfordshire who's dying from cancer could have been saved, according to a scathing report published today. The Health Service Ombudsman says West Hertfordshire NHS Trust failed to detect and treat the disease. More from Lee Agnew.
The 41-year-old was referred to a breast clinic in May 2010, but the correct tests weren't carried out to rule out cancer. The single mother has since been told that she has terminal breast cancer, which has spread to the liver, brain and bone. The Ombudsman says that had she been treated early enough, her life would probably have been saved. It says the Trust, which has already paid the woman compensation, should make a sincere apology and ensure that it can't happen again.
In sport, Liverpool lost 3-0 at home to Real Madrid in the Champions League last night, but Arsenal scored twice in the closing minutes to win 2-1 away to Anderlecht. The weather slightly warmer but cloudier than yesterday, with patchy light rain possible at times, a maximum temperature 16 degrees Celsius, and you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
From the top of the springs, looking down, it really is stunning.
All this week, we're uncovering Barton le Clay.
It's a lovely, friendly village. Everybody knows everybody, and there's plenty to do.
Telling everyone about where you live.
I think we've made more friends here quickly in the 4.5 years we've been here.
The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, it's one of those shows where, we've got something written down on paper, but then other things kind of just pop up. It's a really busy show. So, we'll carry on talking about the filth at Watford Hospital. We've heard a terrible story from one woman whose father was found sat on their inflatable cushions to make it a bit more comfortable to sit on and easier to get up, covered in urine and faeces. We'll carry on talking about that.
And we've got some text as well on that one as well.
We'll do some text in a second.
Yep.
Tesco profits are down 92%. It's partly to do with the maths of them exaggerating their profits and all of that stuff. But why?
Anecdotally, we're getting loads of stuff from the listeners saying the reason why they're being put off going to Tesco's.
And we're going to play some of the Ched Evans statement. He's the footballer who, I was going to say accused of rape, found guilty of rape. But does it sound like a humble man who's learnt his lesson? We'll play some a bit later on. 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
I got some. The Ched Evans story is a fascinating one, and I kind of want to ask the question: what happens if he does get found innocent? If it was a miscarriage of justice, then what do we do?
He's someone who's becoming a national hate figure, which is why I can't really understand. Right, his fiancée has decided that she's going to stand by him, and that's her decision. She knows their relationship better than anybody else. That's her decision. But if that was somebody I loved, I would say to them, right, let's just be quiet now. Let's not give anyone any more ammunition. And instead, they're sitting on the sofa and he gives the most awkward statement I've seen and also fuels the debate more.
We'll play some of the audio a bit later on. I'd like to get your thoughts on that. 08459 455 555. Watford Hospital. Just give us a little recap of the story, Catherine, before you read out some texts.
This is the story brought to us by Lara Weatherly. Her dad is 72, multiple stroke victim. Survivor, not a victim. But he's very ill and he was in hospital and he was transferred to the acute assessment ward because he had contracted a...
He had a urinary infection, which you don't know what, it doesn't sound like...
We're talking about someone who's already suffered an infection.
Yeah, and urinary infection, boy oh boy, it doesn't sound like much. My mum's had those. People go nuts with them. It does crazy things to the brain. You start hallucinating.
It used to happen to my grandma, and people who didn't know her would think that she had dementia. You look,
she's
fine.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Her urinary infection.
So he was very old and he was very poorly.
Yes, so she went to visit him just as he was being moved from his seat back to bed, and she noticed that the pillow he'd been put on, pressure cushion he'd been put on, was covered in somebody else's filth, urine and faeces. And someone had made the decision that that was fine as long as they put some sort of sheet over it.
It's absolutely incredible. And there are also stories of him going to the toilet when he was in bed and only being half cleaned, being sent home, not properly dressed, half clean, still wearing his adult nappy. Horrible things. Well, I'm joined now by Derek Butler, who chairs the MRSA Action UK, which campaigns for better standards in hospital. Derek, your reaction to what you've heard?
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm disgusted. It would seem that we've learnt nothing in the last 7 years from the events of Maidstone and Tunbridge Wells and Mid Staffordshire. And to be honest, my heart goes out to that family. I faced that very same thing.
You faced that thing?
Yes,
What's your story, Derek? What happened?
My stepfather collapsed in 2003 with a massive heart attack, and he was taken into our local hospital. And at first, his care was excellent, and then he went on to the general ward. He never regained consciousness for the 15 weeks before he died, but we went in on several occasions and found him lying in his own excrement. His catheter bag was covered in it.
Oh, dear.
And he was covered in vomit as well.
There are two issues here that I can see, Derek. One is the dignity of the patient and the respect for the patient. The other is the fact that it's a basic. When you're in hospital, things should be clean.
I agree with you. The NHS and the staff in the hospitals have a duty of care not only to the patient but to the families as well. They have that duty to ensure that that patient's kept in an environment that is safe, it's clean, which you would expect in a modern healthcare system such as ours. And they have that duty to the families as well to ensure that those families are not put under any duress or stress because of what's happening. Reading the story of what's happened to Laura's father is just disgusting. There is no excuse, and the staff cannot make excuses for this.
Do you know, Derek, how cleaners get the gigs cleaning hospitals? I'm assuming that loads of companies put in bids to be cleaners for hospitals, and the cheapest or what appears to be the most efficient bid gets the job.
Yeah, I would say that's just about it. What happens is you'll get a group of companies put in a tender for the contract, and they'll all undercut one another but promise the earth in being able to keep the hospital clean. Keeping a hospital clean does not cost a lot of money, but it does cost. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It takes a lot of will, and it takes discipline, and it takes authority to ensure those hospitals are kept clean. And families should expect that when their loved ones go into those hospitals, that they are kept in a clean and safe environment, not having cushions covered in other people's faeces and not having a patient lying in their own faeces as well.
If it doesn't cost a lot of money, why is it going wrong so often? When we're hearing stories this morning, and Watford has been criticised in the past. December, the CQC found bloodstains on the floor in one area that had not been cleaned. Why are people getting it so wrong?
I think it's down to the fact of the way the system is in the hospitals. Your modern-day matrons don't have any power like the old matrons had to ensure that there was discipline in keeping the wards clean. I spoke to one sister a little while back, and she said to me that transgressors often don't get a telling off if they don't clean the place up. They don't get a telling off. They have to be spoken to in what she said was a nice, soft-voiced and offered more training.
Excuse me? So someone gets taken by the shoulder and say, look, Joe, I'm really sorry, but you've not been, you didn't clean that floor well enough, and we really think you should just... It's that kind of thing?
Yes.
Flipping heck.
It is. And in the olden days, the matron and the sister would discipline someone for not doing their job. The other fact as well is, of course, while you've got these cleaning contracts with the hospitals from these companies, whether it's in-house or it's a private company, a lot of the nurses find now that cleaning a mess up on the floor is not part of their role as nursing. And to be honest with you, it's everyone's role as a nurse and a doctor to ensure that that area is kept clean.
Isn't that's a good attitude? I could just read to Samantha Jones, who is the chief executive of the NHS Trust in charge of Watford General. She couldn't find the time to come and speak to us this week or next week, apparently. She says that disciplinary action could be taken and a new regime of unannounced spot checks have been put in place.
Well, I'd say to that chief executive, why wasn't that done in the first place? Keeping a hospital like Watford General clean and having high standards is about the chief executive and the board of trustees coming down and doing those inspections. It's about the staff in the hospital taking ownership of what's happening in that hospital to ensure that the patients and their families expect that cleanliness at the highest standards. This is what I was saying. It's not about costing money. It's about everyone taking responsibility, and unfortunately, no one will. They'll pass the book, which I think you'll find in Laura's story. They actually did that. They were passing the book.
Derek, how are we doing with MRSA? Because I remember it was big news about 5, 6, 7 years ago, and you know, and a lot of changes I seem to have been made. You couldn't wear long sleeves in the hospital if you had to roll your sleeves up. They put those hand sanitizers outside every ward. Is MRSA still a problem, or have we kind of overcome it?
We haven't overcome it. What we've done, we've managed to get the bloodstream infections down to a very low level. It's not as low as we'd like it to be, but it's much lower than it was 6, 7 years ago. But the ones that aren't recorded, such as your wound site infections, catheter, again, urinary tract infections, and surgical site ones, they're not recorded, so we don't know really how well we're doing. The ones bugs that do concern us are the gram-negative, such as you see Dave C. coli, Klebsiella pneumonias. They're the ones that really concern us now because there are no new antibiotics in the pipeline for them.
Derek, great to talk to you. I really appreciate your insight. Thank you. Derek Butler chairs MRSA Action UK.
This is Catherine Boyle
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
He was good. I liked him.
Definitely want to keep...
Were you about to do...
I was going to say thank you to him.
You go and say thank you to him. I liked him a lot. He was good. We'll speak to him again if we get a story. Feisty Northerner, you see. That's what you need. That's who you want in charge of a hospital. You want someone like Derek and the caller we had earlier on who was telling people off when, for... Anyway, that's the kind of thing you need.
You know, I don't believe in throwing your weight about with hospital staff who are doing their best, but there are some things that are essential, aren't they, really? I mean, it's unforgivable, some of this stuff.
08459 455 555. Got any texts?
Yeah, we've got one on this one, actually, from Helen in Milton Keynes. I had to take my mum to A&E on Tuesday. On arrival, the unit manager was asked for her to be transferred onto one of the trolleys. There was a sheet on it that was replaced because they couldn't be sure if it was clean. What a difference to the experience of that poor gentleman. When I was in hospital a few years ago, the attitude of the night team was polar opposite to daytime. They were lazy, had dirty uniforms, and although instructions were left for me to be put on a drip, the nurse said the day team can do that. A radical overhaul of the types of people employed needs to be undertaken, with worse offenders dismissed. Mum back home and recovering, but I'm still in her bad books for getting her taken there in the first place.
Well, yeah, good. Well, Mum knows that you were doing the right thing. Yeah. Well done. Hope you're getting better, Mum.
Yeah.
Karen, get ready for work, for goodness sakes.
I know. We're slowing it down. I think it was the pumpkin talk.
Yeah,
I've been giving some tips. Pumpkin tips.
Pumpkin tips, go on.
There's this one. Catherine, this is from Rebecca. Catherine can use bras to support her pumpkin and keep them off the ground. It's a proper gardening tip, I promise. I'm a bit worried now. Are they not? I thought they were supposed to gently lower to the floor. Because they were climbing me trellis. And now they're lowering into my container.
I've seen the size of those pumpkins. You probably need a pair of your knickers. I think you need something a little bit firmer.
Do you know what?
Yes?
I'm going to whip them out.
Oh dear, if this isn't the show that gets us taken off the air, I don't know what will be.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Starting off with problems on the trains, delays of up to nearly half an hour at the moment on Southern, Virgin and London Midland services between Watford Junction and London Euston. It's all due to a signalling problem. Taking a look at the M1, that's very heavy London bound between junction 10 for Luton Airport Spur Road and junction 7 for Hemel Hempstead. The M25 looking very heavy heading anti-clockwise at the moment between junction 21 for the M1 and junction 16 the M40. Also queuing on the A41 heading southbound. just between the Hemel Hempstead turnoff and junction 20 for the M25. And the Ambition is partially blocked on the A404 at the moment because of an accident just before Marlow Road. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Nicola, thank you very much indeed. Right, it's 8:16 or thereabouts. It's Thursday, the 23rd of October. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The daughter of a stroke patient has criticised Watford General Hospital after finding a cushion that her father had been sitting on covered in another patient's urine and faeces. Hertfordshire-based Tesco has recorded a 92% fall in pre-tax profits in the 6 months to August. The supermarket's overstatement of its profits was found to have had an impact of £263 million, even more than originally thought. And the councillors at the heart of the Milton Keynes taxi scandal faced fresh calls to resign last night at a packed council meeting. Members of the public booed former Mayor Subhan Shafiq. Will be speaking to somebody who was at that council meeting. If you want to give us a call, 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Nice, isn't it?
Isn't that nice?
Song with my name in.
I've just been talking to Kelly about my puppy.
Oh, yeah.
You weren't here when my puppy came into work the other day.
No, because I don't agree with bringing animals into the workplace.
She loved Kelly.
Of course she did.
She loved her. I think it's because they're a similar size.
I was about to say she's the same height and they both got shaggy hair. And they both got fleas.
No, my dog's not got fleas.
It will have after hanging out with Kelly. Don't bring your dog into work.
Oh, why not?
Or should I bring my cat, my rabbit, my stick insect? No, it's inappropriate.
If you want.
No, it's inappropriate.
She brought love and laughter to the office.
No, she brought people going, get that flipping dog out of my crotch.
No, everyone loved her. Everybody upstairs, even the sternest members of staff...
Whose names are?
...turned into little kind of affectionate people.
For example, who?
Who would you Barry Caffrey.
Oh, he's miserable.
Now, Barry, you know Barry. I mean, he's
miserable.
Always stern. And he doesn't like dogs.
No.
Even he cracked a smile and stroked her like that. Awkwardly.
I bet you're the kind of person that takes the day off work when it's your birthday.
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Oh, no, you just take the day off, the week off work to
when I've got a puppy, yeah.
Unbelievable, I know.
What's wrong with that?
Workplace is not a place for animals.
Did you take time off work when you had your children?
Yeah, I did, mate.
Of course you did.
Because they're human beings, they're not puppy dogs.
Yes, but they still, we...
That's true, actually, yeah. They do.
That's the important thing.
I put my little boy to bed last night, my youngest. He's 2.5, and I thought we were over this stage, but he just looked at me and went, Daddy, I'm touching my willy. And do you know what? Normally we ignore it, or we kind of say don't, and I thought, I'm going to have some of this. So I went, son, I'm touching mine.
This is rather peculiar.
This is what... When you've got boys, they're constantly touching their winkles. And I said, I'm touching mine, I'm not touching mine now, let go of yours, get into bed.
You see, the thing is, you're not supposed to find these things funny, are you?
Nope.
You're supposed to keep a straight face and say, don't say that.
Yeah. But also you're not supposed to shame them either. Can't shame them nowadays.
But I find, when children do things like that, I find them so hilarious, I can't help myself.
Yeah.
So I have to try and put my hand over my mouth so they don't see me laughing.
Yeah.
And then my shoulders start shaking. And children can always tell the one person who's finding them funny, can't they?
And they play up to it.
They play up to it. Well, I'm that person they play up to.
Oh, dear. Don't bring your dog in when I'm in.
What? Oh, now that's a challenge.
No, it's not.
Even you would like my dog.
I would be disgusted. I would like it, but not... I would like
She's
it in
cute. She's lovely.
I'm hoping it was on a lead or muzzled.
She was on a lead, yeah.
Muzzled?
Of course she wasn't muzzled. She's a puppy. Muzzle my puppy.
Because puppies have never bitten anything in their lives, have they? You're so naive.
You want my puppy...
£80 on the spot fine.
You want my puppy in a muzzle?
Yeah, and not in this building.
Oh.
Thanks very much. What's on your show this morning?
Well, coming up on the big phone in this morning from 9, what do you think Tesco is doing wrong? The chairman of Tesco is standing down as the Hertfordshire-based firm have announced a massive
It's
hole
incredible.
in their... It's enormous.
Incredible. I didn't believe... A fella phoned up, we didn't believe him.
Excluding petrol, like-for-like sales fell in the first half of this year, and pre-tax profits are down more than 90% on the same period the year before. Accountants have finished investigating Tesco's books, and they found that profits were overstated by £1 £118 million in the first half of the year, by £70 million from 2013 to 2014, and by £75 million the year before that. In short, Tesco is a supermarket in massive decline. Well, my question to you this morning is, what do you think Tesco's doing wrong? 08459 455 555, whether you're a Tesco shopper, a former Tesco shopper, or someone who wouldn't be seen dead in Tesco. I'd love to hear from you on the big phone in at 9.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
It's a beautiful village. We're surrounded by nice open countryside. From the top of the springs, looking down, it really is stunning.
All this week, we're uncovering Barton le Clay.
It's a super village. It's got all the amenities.
You've got the old part on one side of the A6. You've got the newer part on the other side.
Telling everyone about where you live.
It's a nice atmosphere. People walking the dogs.
In snow, in sunshine, it's beautiful at sunset.
I wouldn't leave it. If you paid me millions, I still wouldn't leave. I love it here.
The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks from BBC Three Counties Radio.
Jonathan thought I was doing a piece there about dogs. So when the microphone goes off, he said, "Do you really think it's inappropriate to bring dogs?" I said, "It's disgusting. Why would you bring a dog into work, of all things?"
I don't mind any kind of disruption.
Well, I know you do. You don't work as hard as I do. I'm constantly in the zone. I brought my boys into work.
If the zone is eBay, yes, you are.
Mate, come on. I brought my boys into work, and I'm hoping you're going to bring your girls into work soon.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
Because I think it's important for kids to see what their parents do, so that they know that when they go off in the morning, they're actually doing something.
They will lose all respect for me.
Well, they might do. I mean, the boys, to us, this is quite dull. But the boys loved it when they came. There are microphones, there are knobs. So this is what doing the radio means. And I know your girls have been in before, but I think it's important kids see what their parents do.
Yeah.
I don't think it's important that pets see what their owners do. Not going to bring Velvet in, or Benjamin Bunny, or Sticky Licky, or any of the others.
They'd just be sitting there drumming their respective fingers, wouldn't they?
Well, the cat will be hiding in the corner, terrified. Awful. Tesco's doing really badly. What on earth is going wrong? Dilys is on the line. Morning, Dilys.
Morning.
What would you like to say?
I would just like to say that my husband and I were Tesco shoppers regularly. We'd go there to the big shop, fortnightly, weekly, whatever. And being a club card owner, member, whatever, they used to send vouchers that would give you £9 off or £7 off when you spend £70 or more. And we used to keep them on the fridge. And I picked them up one day because we were going there, and I went, "Do you know we haven't been to Tesco for 6 weeks because the whole book of vouchers were there because we'd started going other places." And the reason we'd done that is because we called it Tesco trickery. We found we had to really be vigilant at what we were buying because prices were wrong or we felt priced badly. For instance, we were buying a packet of gravy browning, and it was cheaper to buy a 100-gram box than a 200-gram box. So where we would pick up a big one because we think it would last longer and it'd be better value, a lot of the time wasn't. So we felt like we were being tricked.
Dilys, here's something I found out the other day. You know OXO?
Yeah.
It's a drink, it's not a gravy.
Well, there you go.
That's insane, isn't it?
Possibly.
Thank you very much indeed. I've been using...
That's not a discovery, my love.
Well, my darling,
It's a beef flavouring. You wouldn't use it. It would be too thin.
I've been using it as a gravy.
Are you nuts?
Well, it turns out I am.
You're mistaking it for Bisto.
It's a drink, and then I had it as a drink the other day, and it gave me an upset tummy, and I felt all meaty.
Why are you drinking liquid... look how much you've changed, right?
Yeah.
20-odd years of no meat at all. Now you're liquidising it down.
I was in a barbecue restaurant the other day, Bodean's. Owned by...
Bodean?
You push too hard, your dreams are China in your head.
Again?
You push too hard.
I'm trying to think of another line of one of the other songs, and I couldn't. Carol Deckers.
Carol
Double Deckers owns this restaurant I went to.
Why is she calling it Bodean's? Why did she call it Deckers?
I've got no idea at all.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, taxi licensing in Milton Keynes. We've been talking about it for a while because, we think it's an important thing. You know, of course, the former mayor, Subhan Shafiq, stepped down from being a mayor Can you stop playing to power songs on your table piano, please? I'm trying to do an important story. Thank you. Former Mayor Subhan Shafiq is the former mayor because he stepped down because he recommended that a serial rapist be granted a taxi licence. And other councillors, Stuart Burke and Gladstone Mackenzie, granted that licence. Well, there was a big meeting last night. Residents were in attendance. One of those was Rosemary Smith. Good morning, Rosemary.
Morning.
What happened at the meeting last night?
Well, it was, I suppose, technically, if you like, you could have called it a bun fight. It was just unbelievable. I mean, the whole of the public gallery was absolutely full of people who were calling for the resignation, especially of Burke and Shafiq. Even the Labour leader, Pete Marlon, got up on his feet and he said, basically, they haven't even apologised for what they've done. Not that that's good enough, but they haven't even done that, either of them.
Well, we're talking of Councillor Burke, because he's one of the people that granted the licence to this violent serial rapist. Our reporter, Craig Lewis, spoke to him last night, and he asked him if he was sorry. Just have a listen to this. I'd love to get your reaction on this.
I'm sorry every day, because it's brought all this down on everybody. I'm sorry for myself, I'm sorry for Subhan, I'm sorry for Gladstone, I'm sorry for all the other councillors involved who've had their reputations besmirched. I'm sorry for the taxi driver, because, he's run what he thought was reasonable, and he's now, become a public figure, not wanting to be. And, there are loads of people who I'm incredibly sorry for, because it's been very difficult to deal with.
Rosemary, what's your reaction to Councillor Burke there?
Complete arrogance. I'm sorry for... No, he's just saying that he's sorry for other people, not for what he's done. He's saying that, yes, what he did basically caused this, but he hasn't actually stood up and said, I wish that I'd never done this. I'm really sorry to everybody, not for...
It's interesting, the first person he says sorry, he's sorry for himself, first person.
Yeah, great.
And then the third or fourth person he's sorry for is the violent serial rapist.
I know, it's unbelievable.
Do you think that these councillors are completely out of touch with the mood of the public?
Completely. They're not, and they're so arrogant. I mean, especially Stuart Burke. He is incredibly arrogant. I posed a question last night and asked why they weren't resigning, and he just said, well, why should I, basically? Why should I resign? And I'm thinking, yes, you should resign. Everybody is calling for you to resign, and legally the council cannot sack them, which is a nonsense. We need this recall thing to come in anyway. But no, he is a very arrogant person, and I've dealt with him before through another issue. So, and that he just does not care at all about the residents. He doesn't say he's sorry for doing something. He's sorry for other people, but mostly himself.
Do we know what happens? Do we know what happens next, Rosemary? Where does this go?
I don't know, Ian, to be perfectly honest. I mean, obviously it's going to rumble on. Allegedly they're doing some kind of internal process that they're basically looking into all of this, which we will know the result of apparently at the end of November. But unfortunately, my opinion is that they are playing a political game with the safety of the residents of Milton Keynes. They do not want a by-election. They definitely don't want that. And if they both resigned and did the decent thing, that would cause a by-election. And that's what they don't want to do. They're saying it's a matter of cost. Well, quite honestly, I'd rather spend the money on a by-election than pay those two.
You're right. There is an internal audit investigation taking place. That comes out at the end of November. Rosemary, maybe we could speak to you when the results of that audit come out. Be nice to talk to you and get your views on that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555. Coming up, why is Tesco going wrong? Is it the ambience, according to Peter in Walmer Green? And also, we'll play you some of that Ched Evans statement. I'd love to get your thoughts on it. Does it sound like a man who's learnt his lesson and is full of humility?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Starting off with the problems on the trains this morning, seeing delays of up to nearly half an hour on London Midland, Southern and Virgin trains between Watford Junction and London Euston. It's due to a signalling problem. Taking a look at the M1, it's very heavy London bound between junction 10 for Luton Airport Spur Road and junction 7 for Hemel Hempstead. The M25 heading anti-clockwise, rather slow on the sensors at the moment between junction 21 for the M1 and junction 16 at the M40. In Bisham, it's queuing at the moment on the A404. It's heading southbound just before Marlow Road following an accident that's happened there. And so far at the Barnet Bypass, that's looking heavy between Stirling Corner and Mill Hill Circus. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8:30, I'm Simon Oxley. Hertfordshire-based Tesco has announced a 92% drop in its pre-tax profits to £112 million in the 6 months to August. An investigation has revealed that the company overstated its profits guidance last month by £263 million, even more than originally thought. The daughter of a stroke patient has criticised Watford General Hospital after finding a cushion that her father had been sitting on covered in another patient's urine and faeces. And the councillors at the heart of the Milton Keynes taxi scandal faced fresh calls to resign last night. At a packed council meeting, members of the public booed former Mayor Subhan Shafiq.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Mixed fortunes for Liverpool and Arsenal in the Champions League last night. Liverpool lost 3-0 at home to Real Madrid. Manager Brendan Rodgers says he'll take action against Mario Balotelli after the striker swapped shirts with Real Madrid's Pepe at half-time. Former Liverpool defender Mark Lawrenson says Balotelli is getting worse.
Balotelli, I think he's 24 now, he's a dad and everything. I think everybody thought it might be time to settle down. And if anything, he gets worse. I mean, basically at the weekend at Queen's Park Rangers, it was just a non-performance. And then to go and do that at half-time when you're 3-0 down in the Champions League, it's utter and sheer madness.
But Arsenal scored twice in the closing minutes through Kieran Gibbs and Lucas Podolski to win 2-1 away to Anderlecht. Here's manager Arsene Wenger.
I know by experience that the last 5 minutes in the Champions League, the nerves play a part. We had to get into these 5 minutes without conceding a second goal. Of course, if I had scored the second goal, it was game over. I had hope. It didn't look like, but it happened. And that means we took all the risks, and in the end it paid off.
A Luton side featuring a number of players returning from injury beat Hemel Hempstead 3-0 in a friendly at the Hatters training ground yesterday afternoon. Curtly Williams, Fraser Franks, Paul Connolly, Luke Rooney and Jake Howells all played. Wickham have been fined £1,000 after admitting an FA charge of failing to ensure players conducted themselves in an orderly fashion. It happened in the closing stages of this month's game against Northampton, who were also fined. And in cycling, 2013 champion Chris Froome says he may skip next year's Tour de France because the course doesn't suit him. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 9.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Oh, man, it's one of those shows. Sorry, what are you trying to work? What's going on in there, ladies?
We're just having a private chat if you wouldn't mind minding your own biz.
Kelly's asking me to send her a selfie.
Kelly?
Always happy to oblige.
It's one of those shows where we come in, it's all written down on the screen, and then throughout the show, it just kind of chops and changes.
Because we make radio with our ears and not our eyes.
And our hearts.
And our hearts.
Not our minds.
And so.
No, it's just because like some stories are broken while we've been on air.
Like what? What's broken?
Tesco has broken like the first Tesco. Blackbird has spoken like the bird. So, what are we talking about? Well, we're going to go to Justin and talk about tats in a minute. The teacher been booted out of a school for...
tattoos, we mean.
Tattoos. We're also talking about Tesco. Profits are down 92%. That's partly because the profits were made up. That's mainly where that comes from. We're talking about that. And also, we'll play... should we play some of the Ched Evans... now?
Yeah, OK.
Because this is the guy who got convicted of rape, served 2.5 years of a 5-year sentence. He's going to be playing for... Is it Sheffield United or Wednesday? I can never remember. United, I think it is. And we've avoided doing this story, haven't we, Catherine?
Well, just because it's been, he's been a hate figure. And it's a very sort of... Then the Judy Finnegan thing happened.
Yeah.
And everyone was talking about it.
And then people doing the phone in, should he play for the football team? I don't really know the answer. And I don't really care about that side of things.
I would be interested, though, if you listen to this...
Be a little bit louder, because that printer's quite noisy.
If you are listening to this and you are a woman...
Yeah.
Put yourself in the position of this guy's fiancée.
Yeah.
She's sitting next to him while he's doing this. Wouldn't you have convinced him just not to say anything?
This is 30 seconds. He released a video statement last night. This is 30 seconds, OK? Bearing in mind, he was found guilty by a jury of rape. Whether the girl was drunk or not, irrelevant. He was found guilty of rape. He served 2.5 years of a 5-year sentence. This is the part of the statement he released last night.
In May 2011, at a hotel in North Wales, by cheating on my partner, Natasha, I hurt the woman I love with all my heart. Since that night, I have constantly regretted my act of infidelity and the damage that has been done on so many fronts because of it. The support that has been shown by Natasha, our friends and family, during the trial and the time spent in prison has kept me strong. It can't have been an easy thing to have stood by someone who the court found guilty of such a destructive act. I will be forever grateful.
He said there, on that night, he cheated on his partner and he regrets the infidelity. Those are very, very strange euphemisms for rape. He was found guilty of rape. Cheated on his partner, infidelity. He forced himself sexually on a woman who was incapable of being... I don't know the full situation. Anyway, he had sex with someone who didn't want to have sex with him.
She was in the hotel room with somebody else. She was very, very drunk. We're not saying that that's any reason, any kind of mitigating circumstance, but she was very drunk. And he went and joined in while people looked through the window. Someone was filming it. Does that sound like an infidelity to you?
Cheating on his partner, infidelity. I heard this on the radio. I've since seen the video without the sound. I heard it on the radio last night. I mean, you see it, and OK, he looks like a robot speaking. He's not a natural orator. All right, you can't knock the fella for that. But it's the words, it's the language. It shows. I mean, he believes he's innocent. He's going to appeal.
But all the heat he's getting from the media, he's becoming a public hate figure. He's already there. If you were his partner, you're standing by him, she obviously loves him, she obviously wants to stay with him, wouldn't you say, look, don't give them any more ammunition? Stop talking.
This is going to go to appeal. And I don't understand why they've not appealed before. I think they claim to have got new evidence. I don't know. What happens if he's found innocent second time around? Where does that leave us as a nation? Let's just pursue that avenue of thought for a second. Where does that leave us?
That would leave us with the assumption then that if you are drunk, you're asking for it. Wouldn't it?
Well, I don't know. If they've got evidence that we don't... again, he was convicted by a jury of... Was it a jury these days? 11, 12, something like that. I don't know. Maybe they have got new evidence. But we have to go by the fact that he was found guilty. He is a rapist. And he doesn't sound remorseful in the slightest. There may be nothing more to say about it. I'm going to throw it out there to you, dear listener. I don't know. 08459 455 555. If you want to give us... I don't quite know what the conversation is there. Would you stand by your partner? That's a good one. Is his girlfriend naive? Are we being too harsh on him? Should he show more humility?
Should he just keep his head down now?
He can't, can he? Because they're not going to leave him.
Just stop speaking, because he's just putting more fuel on the fire.
08459 455. Also, he says he wants to be a role model, OK? Well, I want my boys to know, A, that rape is bad, and B, that having sex, that joining in with sex with someone who's unaware of it or who's really, really drunk is also bad. Those things are bad. That's not the kind of image...
Yeah, while people laugh and look through the window.
Yeah, while having sex with a girl while your mates film it, that is bad. Unless, you, your mate and the girl have all said, hey, I know what, guys, shall we all film each other? You're OK with filming? I'm OK. You want to film? You're OK? That's fine. But when it's, when it's a drunk girl and it's someone doing it through a window for a laugh, that's not fine. That's not fine. And I want my boys to learn...
I'm glad you're teaching them that.
Well, I'm not teaching them yet. They're 4 and 2. But, well, hopefully they'll see my interaction with women. That's how they will learn respect. I don't know. Richard's in Stevenage. Morning, Richard.
Morning, Ian.
What would you like to say?
I'm not excusing anything that he's done.
But?
But what I'm going to say is, in his statement, he's never going to say that he did rape her because he's appealing it. So if he's appealing it, if he turned around and said that I'm a rapist, then it's going to hurt his appeal. However, in the statement, he does say that he was found guilty of a despicable act. I think that was the word he used.
So what I make up from that, Richard, is he's saying that rape is despicable, but he doesn't believe that he committed rape.
Exactly, that's what I get from it. And what I'm saying is, if they are appealing for his innocence in it, then there's no way he's ever going to say that I have raped someone.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. Would it not be better then, Richard, for him not to have made a statement at all? Because there will be people judging, people were waiting for this statement and will be judging him and doing what we're doing, kind of taking it apart word by word.
Quite possibly, but I mean, you don't know whether or not. I mean,
Richard, if Ched was your brother and he said he was going to do this, what would you say to him? If he said, I'm going to do something and put it on YouTube so everyone can see, what would you say to him?
I'd probably say don't do it. But everyone's different. You don't know what kind of advice he's had for it. I don't know whether or not his legal team might have thought that it would have been a good thing to put out a statement to try and show that he does believe he's innocent and it'll help his appeal. I don't know.
He must have taken advice from the football club, his solicitor. Someone must have said... have advised him to do that. And Richard, listen, thank you for your call, mate. I would suggest that wasn't the best advice. And of course he's not going to use the word rape, say that he's guilty of it, because he is appealing it. And it'll be interesting. I wonder how long that... Do we know when that appeal is going to be, how long that takes? He confirmed an application was made to refer his case back to the Court of Appeal. He said it seeks to demonstrate the act I engaged in on that night was consensual. 08459 455 555. I mean, we're not going to get anywhere with this conversation. We're not going to come to a conclusion at 9 o'clock and go, right, well, that's that solved. I just don't know. It's one of those things where I don't quite know what my thoughts are, and I need people to help me unpick my head.
I just think he was damned by making that statement. If I was his fiancée, if I was his mum, if I was his sister, I'd say to him, let's just keep quiet.
But his mum believes him. His fiancée believes him.
It's not saying that you don't, but you just don't fan the fire.
You see, all I can think of is my boys. And if my boys had been found guilty of something, and I believed deep in my heart that they were completely innocent...
Yeah, but you knew people were picking them apart in the media.
I'm a bit more media savvy than this fella and his family. 08459 455 555. Morning, Just.
Morning, boss.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
That's all right. No, I've been interested about a conversation.
It's that I heard the statement last night, and it got me angry. And I kind of tweeted about it, and I was getting a little bit of backlash on Twitter. People saying I was jumping on the bandwagon. I should leave him alone. That when he's proved innocent, he should. I should be apologising, and all of this stuff. And damn those legal systems where juries get to hear all of the evidence that we've not heard. That's the thing, isn't it?
I mean, strangely, I actually think he's done the right thing here by releasing this video.
Interesting. Go on, tell me why.
Because people are not going to leave him alone. Yep. So he had to say something. OK, he's released the video. That's the first thing. Secondly, he will definitely play football again. He is a quality football player. And thirdly, he believes that he's innocent. That's why he's released the video. And he's now going to fight to clear his name. So if the media aren't going to leave him alone, he said something on his terms. That's my view.
You know there are no guilty people in prison. You know that, don't you? They're all innocent.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but he firmly believes, and his partner firmly believes, that he's an innocent man. That fight will go on now. He's trying to clear his name.
Okay, supposing it goes to appeal, and he's found guilty again. The conviction is upheld. Well, then where do we stand with him? Then he's been through two legal processes, and we're kind of, hypothesising a bit. He's then gone through two legal processes and been found guilty twice. That means he is a rapist in denial.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those situations where everyone is going to have an opinion. But again, to go back to his original point, he thinks that he's innocent, and that's why he's released the video. He had to say something. People can watch that and they can make up their own opinions, but I firmly believe he had to do something because that was not going to.
Do you not think? We'll play your audio after the news, just because I know you've got a good bit on the tats, and I want to make sure we get all of that. But do you not think it's naive to do that, because he is kind of public enemy number one at the moment?
Yep.
And obviously the Sun have got the headline: "Soccer rapists video nasty, no shame." He's not going to convince any new people. People who didn't like him aren't going to go, oh, actually, fair play, that Ched Evans is all right.
No.
People that supported him will go, yeah, get in there, son. It's not going to change anybody's opinion. It's only going to polarise people more, isn't it?
Quite possibly, but I think he had to say something. You can't just sit at home and hide in a situation like this. He's come out, he's had his say on his terms, and again, he will fight to try and clear his name. Whether that happens or not, I don't know, but I certainly think he will go back to football. A lot of people
that's gonna happen, yeah.
a lot of people saying, he should never play football again. Well, here's a man who has gone to prison. He served his time. He would definitely go back to playing football. But what he will do, and every football fan will agree here, every single ground that he goes to, he will be abused for the rest of his career. That is almost like a sentence in itself. That will not be pleasant for him.
I'm trying to find a sexual slang word that rhymes with Ched or Evans. I'm sure some clever sparks on the terraces have thought of that already. Justin, stay there, because you've got a cracking piece about employing people with tattoos. The story of a school assistant, teaching assistant, booted out of a school because she's covered in tattoos and piercings. We'll have that in a bit.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Starting off on the trains this morning, delays of up to about 40 minutes now on London Midland between London Euston and Watford Junction. It's all due to the signalling problem causing lots of delays in and out of London Euston at the moment, also on Virgin trains. Taking a look at the M25, heading anti-clockwise, that's very slow moving between Junction 19 at Watford and Junction 16 for the M40. And taking a look at the M40 itself, it's queuing at the moment on the exit slip road just to Junction 4 for the High Wycombe Handy Cross roundabouts. And in Bisham, the A404, there's a lane closed heading southbound just before Marlow Road following an accident there. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yes. 8:46 exactly, Thursday the 23rd of October. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The chairman of Tesco is to resign after the Hertfordshire-based company recorded a 92% fall in pre-tax profits in the 6 months to August. The daughter of a stroke patient has criticised Watford General Hospital after finding a cushion that her father had been sitting on covered in another patient's urine and faeces. And the councillors at the heart of the Milton Keynes taxi scandal faced fresh calls to resign last night. At a packed council meeting, members of the public booed former Mayor Subhan Shafiq. Coming up before 9 o'clock, more Justin Dealey. I'm sorry, it's a contractual obligation. Before that, here's Georgina with the weather.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello there. A bit of a grey day today. Lots of cloud around. Just the odd bright spell, but not even that for everybody. And we'll have some spots of drizzle, but some of us having a dry day, just feeling quite damp with a fresh southwesterly breeze and highs of 15 degrees Celsius. Tonight, that rain and drizzle continues with lows of 12 degrees. And tomorrow, more rain on the way. There'll be some heavier bursts tomorrow as well for much of the day. And we're probably not seeing the back of that until after dark, with highs of 16 degrees Celsius, but it's looking much drier and brighter, if a touch cooler, over the weekend. That's your latest forecast.
Every weekday from 12, Nick Coffer brings you
BBC Three Counties Radio. I've got some great interviews coming up. He was in the trenches in France and he was shot.
We both look at each other in amazement and can't believe how far we've come with the company, and we love it. We love every day that we do the cakes.
Nick Coffer.
We're telling people, go out and find about your family story and come back and pay tribute to them in a way that is a living, breathing legacy.
Got a strong local link, hasn't it?
A strong local link.
Amy Merritt, she's originally from New Zealand, now settled in Buckinghamshire.
Nick Coffer.
I think it could be brilliant.
Weekdays from 12 on BBC Three Counties Radio. If you hear a whisper, give us a shout.
Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Right, Justin, at last.
Yeah. Got people emailing me again about Luton Town's plastic pitch.
Oh, really? Are we doing another great reunion of the pitch?
No, we've done that already.
By the way, can I just say, Wilco Johnson, the guitarist, who was dying of cancer, he's not got cancer anymore. He's been cured of cancer.
Fantastic.
Isn't that amazing? He was at the Q Awards, right? He was Dr. Feelgood guitarist, and so he did a big farewell. He was supposed to die in October 2013. Did a big farewell tour, recorded an album with Roger Daltrey, was kind of, on his last legs. He had the tumour, I think he said was 3 kilograms, right? And he was at the Q Awards last night. I think it was the Q Awards. And he was collecting his hero gong, and he got up and he went, "Oh yeah, thanks for this. I'm cancer-free." Isn't that amazing?
Absolutely
Isn't that amazing? What brilliant bit of news. Well done him. Either that, it was a really elaborate scam so he could make a record with Roger Daltrey. Who knows? I'm sure it wasn't, but well done him. The big story one of the big stories in the papers, this teaching assistant who got, she got booted out of a school just, didn't she?
Yes, she did. She had tattoos on her neck and all down her arm, and she was sent home. So we kind of had a brief discussion about this earlier on. Have tattoos ever held you back? But also, if you were going for a job interview and you had lots of tattoos, would you cover them up? Well, I've been onto the streets this morning asking those very questions, and Ian, here's what happened.
Oh, hang on a second. Let's just
build up.
No, let's have a big build up. Hang on a second.
Okay.
Hang on. Right, just give us that. Oh, hang on. No. Right, give us that build up again, mate, because that was great.
Trainee teacher sent home, tattoos on her neck, down her arm.
Yeah.
We were asking the question earlier on this morning: have tats ever held you back? And would you cover your tattoos for a job interview? I've been on the streets this morning asking those very questions. Here's what happened.
I am going to retire.
No.
Because I'm not...
No, hang on. Just get the last line.
Okay. I've been onto the streets asking those very questions.
There's no more family.
Oh, no. Right, one more. Here we go. This is it.
OK. I've been onto the streets this morning, taking this very seriously. I've been asking those questions. Here's what happened. Brian, you've got a tattoo on your neck there. I can just see it. How many tattoos have you got?
About 40.
40 tattoos?
Front, back, it's mainly legs.
What's the most unusual one you got?
People wonder what the praying hands are for on the neck, but it's just a tattoo. People don't judge her, only certain people can judge her and things like that. Yeah.
OK, now you work on a building site, so you told me that your tattoos haven't held you back, but if you were to go for, let's say, an office job, would you make sure that all of your tattoos were covered? Do you think your tattoos will give you a bad name before that interview had even started?
Before, maybe, but I don't think so now, because it's common now, very common now, so most people have got a tattoo now.
Do you think I'm weird for not having a tattoo?
No, but women have got them now, and it's even, I've got my mum one for her birthday, and she's 65, so...
What was that tattoo?
It's a rose on her wrist.
And that was her first one, at 65?
Yeah.
Incredible stuff. Wow. So nowadays things have moved on. Your tattoos, you don't think, will ever hold you back moving forward, because we now accept tattoos.
Yeah, it's police force, they got tattoos. They always have to be covered up, but sometimes when they're in short shirts, you can see the tattoos, and doesn't hold them back from their job, so...
So you have 3 tattoos. Would you cover those tattoos up if you were going for a job interview?
I would, because for intimidation purposes.
I mean, this lady we're talking about this morning has got a tattoo on her neck. Can you understand why an employer might look at that and think, no, not for me? Even though a person may be absolutely brilliant for that job, the tattoos put them off. Can you understand that?
I do understand that. Well, me personally, I mean, I see people with tattoos on their neck, and I just don't really want to give them the time of day, to be honest.
Ladies in the house. Oh, the ladies.
The Ladies' Perspective with Iain Lee across Beds, Hearts and Bucks.
The ladies.
Charlotte,
the
how many tattoos have you got?
1.
OK, and what's that tattoo, can I ask?
It's a star with little bits coming out of it.
Now, would you cover that up for a job interview?
Yes.
Tell me why.
I think first impressions on a job interview are really important, and you don't want to look like you don't care.
The lady's perspective was one lady.
What tattoo?
That bloke was talking rubbish. Yeah, most people have got them now. No, they haven't.
Well, I don't know. You see, I haven't got a tattoo, and certainly when I'm down the pub, I feel like that I'm in the minority these days because I haven't got a tattoo.
You go to very rough pubs, though, don't you? That's the thing.
I do feel like nowadays, though, most people I meet have got a tattoo.
Can I just say the important thing we've missed on this story? So this trainee teacher has accused a Roman Catholic school of prejudice. After they've just got standards, love. The deputy headmaster. Do you know what his name is?
Go on,
Mr. Bogey.
Ooh, good name.
Oh dear.
It is. It's Martin Bogey.
Poor lad. And he still chose to become a teacher.
His last name's Bogey.
Surely you'd change it for just your job. Maybe he did. Maybe he thought Bogey was.
Maybe it's Bogey.
That's even worse. It's got the word gay in it. You know what kids are like?
Seriously.
Justin,
Bogie.
hang on. Justin's trying to be the voice of reason here. Yeah. Justin, tell us about your show on Saturdays. I believe it's still happening. What's going on?
Yes, it's still there. 12 until 2. 2 hours of great songs and great memories. This weekend, the UK and American charts from this weekend in 1963, and requests from the home of the big tour in Barton-le-Clay.
Excellent stuff. And will you be featuring Mr. Bogey?
Maybe.
Good for you.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Mr. Bogey. Before we go to Peter and Rickmansworth, you got any texts or anything, Kath, that we should be doing?
Yeah, Chris in Milton Keynes on the Ched Evans scenario says if Ched Evans had sex with a girl who was drunk, it's rape. There are no mitigating circumstances. If she's unable to consent, in this case through alcohol, it is rape. And then we've got one through here from Ev, who says she had sex with 2 footballers that night. Did she only press charges on the more famous one?
Well, it was consensual. This is what I've made up from the story. I don't know the full facts. It was consensual with the first one, and then Ched Evans joined in.
While people laughed and filmed.
Yeah, that's it. That's as far as I'm aware. That's the story. It's an interesting one, and I'm really keen to see how that appeal goes, and whether we'll all be eating humble pie, which I would be happy to do, or someone's going to eat humble pie. It's either me or it's Evans. Who's it going to be? If it's my position to apologise on air, more than happy to do that. If he's found guilty again, then what does he do? Does he then say sorry, hands up? Yeah, I got done. Or does he say, no, it's unfair? Both of these trials are unfair. Be interesting. Peter's in Rickmansworth. Good morning, Peter.
Yeah, good morning, Ian.
What you got for us, Pete?
Well, they've been on about Watford Hospital.
Yes, this is...
slagging it off.
Yes.
Well, I was in there 8 days because I hadn't got enough oxygen in my blood.
Yeah, oh, blimey.
Well, the first time I went in... that was in the blue room.
Oh, yeah.
And AAU.
Where's that voice come from?
The AAU is salient because that's the same unit.
Right, OK, go on. Who was that, Peter?
Well, I was in there 8 days.
OK.
Had oxygen day and night.
Yeah.
Well, the food, you wouldn't believe it, it was excellent. So I've got no complaint about that.
Yeah.
And I had a nice young nurse.
Hello.
Allocated.
Yes.
And she washed my back for me. When you go in the washroom,
yeah,
you open the door, the light comes on. And it's all... and the taps.
Yeah.
Nice and hot, you know.
Hot water taps, yeah.
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 And that comes on automatic when you put the flannel and soap on.
And she'd give you a good scrub, would she?
She did.
Beautiful. So you've not... The reason we're talking about this is we have heard stories of it being a little bit dirty, or more than a little bit dirty.
No,
you've not seen any of that. In your experience, it was tip-top?
It was top.
Well, Peter, listen, it's good to talk to you. Thank you very much. It's always good to get the other side of the story in these situations, I think. Huh?
Yeah, you got 2 more minutes.
Oh, sorry, I'm on...
Keep that mouth moving and stuff coming out, Plaz.
I'm on eBay, innit?
I knew you were.
What?
Otherwise known as In The Zone. Oh, if Ian's ever in the zone, you know what the zone is.
It's the eBay zone.
In the monkey's corner of eBay.
Rep phones. I've just seen some stuff on there that would look quite good in my house.
You don't need any more stuff.
Have we got? Do we need to mop up any texts or emails?
Yeah, OXO. It's just a stock cube, says Math. Are you confusing it with Bovril? Watch the Food on Wrap programme on stock cubes on Channel 4. Very interesting.
I'm not going to.
My favourite episode showed cashew nuts.
Oh, we didn't mention! Oh, flippin' heck! I've only got 30 seconds. The Daily Express, there is a cure for Alzheimer's.
Get it in quick.
We didn't mention it. I'm so sorry.
So what do we need to do today if we want to...
The Daily Express, new dementia breakthrough. Experts reveal 2 key ways to fight disease. Are you ready for this, guys?
Yeah.
Get a pen and paper, because you're going to want this down. Want to jot this down? 2 breakthrough studies have revealed that A, being good with words... and B, eating just a handful of walnuts every day can help stave off the ravages of Alzheimer's. Ladies and gentlemen, we found... What does being good with words mean?
I think it's only in a dictionary.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's
Starting off on the Great North Road, that's looking very heavy at the moment, heading southbound at the Black Cat roundabout. The M1 looking very heavy on the sensors between junction 13 for Bedford and junction 14 for Milton Keynes. The M25 very slow anti-clockwise at the moment between junction 19 at Watford and junction 16 for the M40. And taking a look so far at the trains, delays of up to 40 minutes at the moment on Virgin trains. This is in and out of London Euston due to a signalling problem there. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much indeed. Hey, cracking show this morning. Is one of those ones I like it when it's changing and when I can see Catherine throwing things all over the place and changing the shape of the show. Well done, Boyle. Well done, Betts. Thank you, Justin. From all of us until tomorrow 6 o'clock in the morning. Ta-ta.
Local and vocal across Beds, Herts and Bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Iain. Good morning. Welcome to the JVS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon-Smith. It's Thursday. It's 9 o'clock, and on today's Big Phone In, what do you think Tesco's doing wrong? The chairman of Tesco is standing down as the Hertfordshire-based firm have announced a massive hole in their profits, excluding